on this episode of the Star Wars Time Show. Matt will surely make some eyes roll when he boasts about another one of his Star Wars speculation wins, thanks to a trailer prediction that came true in the latest episode of The Bad Batch. If his head doesn't explode from being full of himself, Matt and Nick will fully break down this episode to ensure everyone is on the correct page. After Bad Batch time, the two will move on to a story about a beefy-looking Hayden Christensen, as well as a Rogue Squadron production update. Matt will do a little Darth Vader and War of the Bounty Hunter story time to keep everyone up to date on that kick-ass miniseries crossover before the duo shift into a discussion on some new Lego and Hot Toys collectibles. The show will end with the infamous fan segment, which will include fan responses to the question of the week, and of course, the latest iteration of the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie!
...2016. That's how long ago.
Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to a new episode of the Star Wars Time Show. And if you're disappointed, you're on the live stream because you only see 2 people, tough shit. No interview this week. You just get yours truly and my man Nick, a.k.a. Chewbacca. We're here to talk some Bad Batch. I'm here to boast a little Bad Batch speculation because once again, the master of all things Star Wars speculating hit the nail right on the head. I am talking as perfect of speculation as it can be when it comes to Omega and her true identity, her true relations to the Fets that were revealed in the last episode of the Bad Batch. So, if you're on the live stream, like I said, you're looking at a YouTube clip right now, and I don't think you can hear it. I've made sure to share the clip in our Discord just for posterity purposes. And again, I am an asshole. I have a blank, I have a hole in my soul that needs constantly filled with adulations and praise, clapping, whatever, trophies, medals. I just need to know that people know that I know my shit about Star Wars. So what I'm talking about, Nick, before we really get into the Bad Batch breakdown, plus I want to talk some very important shit, Fast 9. I really did. I mean, yeah, I know this is kind of like a little gimmick we have on the show where I play up my speculation wins and how awesome I am and how, you know, myself and you being a member of the Star Wars Time Show should get more praise and respect, followers, listeners, likes, comments, whatever you want to say. But I really did. I mean, I fucking nailed this. So much so that if I could play this clip for you and the show wouldn't blow up, I would do it.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do, I will share the clip with the appropriate timestamp in the live stream. So even people that are rewatching the live stream, first off, shame on you for not basically watching the show live. We don't care if you have jobs, families, kids, bills. You should drop everything at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time to watch our two asses spew hot air about really nothing that matters in real life.
I say whole lot of nothing usually, yeah. But you know.
But Nick, this is one, like, I even had to go back. I mentioned it in the Jesus, it's this bad, this early, 4 minutes in, and I'm already talking with marbles in my mouth. Watch out, people. Wow. Let me see. Is there vodka in my water today? No. Okay. No vodka. But anyways, in my breakdown of S1E9, what the hell was it called? I even forget the damn title already.
Bounty Lost.
Bounty Lost. We get confirmation of something that I called, as you can see in the video here if you're on the live stream, on March 30th, 2021. The day we got a pretty massive Bad Batch trailer, right? So this is still a few months before it released.
Yep.
And at a particular moment in the breakdown of said trailer, right around the 4-minute and 25-second mark, I launch into my first ever take on the character of Omega. We didn't even know her name at this point in time, okay? I didn't get that right, so, I mean, I'm not that good. But here's pretty much what I said. As I shared earlier, I will share the link in the live stream. It's in our Discord as well, just so people can verify my stories to ensure that I'm not just whipping up a tall tale to tell on the internet to try and get some cred here, right? Like that, I have facts. I've brought the receipts, as they like to say. But what I say, Nick, again, I have no knowledge of this. Our sources didn't share any of this. This is just me and my connection to the Force and my ability to take scenes that are, cut together and don't necessarily flow in order and pontificate on them and then generate a speculation that actually rings true. Nice. So what I said... This is, again, it's not verbatim because I can't play it while we're on air or my entire basement will explode. If you don't know what that means, just ask longtime fans of the diehards. When we first started the live stream, pretty much any time I tried to hit a different button on my machine, the entire setup would just go to hell. I mean, literally, Nick's mic would drop out, all my audio would drop out, cameras would start flickering. It was just no good. So like Pavlov's dogs, I've learned my lesson. When we're on the show, don't hit new buttons, Matt. All right. But anyways, this is what I said. I was like, listen, this clone to me is a girl. That was my first call. Win.
Yep.
This clone to me is also probably just like Boba Fett. All right. I said this. She's probably just like Boba Fett. And the only alteration is that they changed the X and Y chromosomes. All right. Yep. So months before the big reveal in Bad Batch S1E9, laid it out there that Omega was a female clone, just like Boba Fett, and the only difference is that she was made a female versus a male. And what do we get in this most recent episode? Complete and utter confirmation of said speculation from me, the main dude of the Star Wars Time Show. So at this point in time, I will let you all congratulate me. Go ahead. I'm sitting back. I'm listening. Where are they? Comments. Come on. More comments. I want some emojis. I want some high fives. All right. But you know what, dude? I mean, this kind of plays into another one of my gimmicks. Not that you play into these. I'm the asshole on the show, right? I'm the main dude. I'm the reason people don't want to listen because I'm a little crazy at times. But that's pretty damn good. I mean, that's some pretty damn good guessing with no information, our source giving us nothing, yet other sites out there, other podcasts out there, they literally spread their cheeks and spray fecal matter all over the wall, and if one piece of corn sticks, they are crowned the new go-to podcast of the internet for all things Star Wars. Now, this is twice in recent memory that I've absolutely nailed a major piece of Star Wars narrative lore before the actual product came out in full. The other one was, and I had to be remembered of this, so I'm not that big of a cocky asshole, but The Mandalorian Season 2, at the end of the first episode, my breakdown, Figure Fucking Hurts, reminded me that I pretty much called Boba Fett going to Jabba's palace, having an encounter with Bib Fortuna.
Yep.
All right. Check the tapes if you don't believe me. Thank you, Nick. And thank you, fans, for allowing me to get that boasting session off of my chest. I've been feeling pretty proud of myself since Friday morning, but I really needed this moment, the stage, the spotlight, if you will, to shower myself in praise. Okay?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for that.
It was a good call, and I think a lot of it got lost in the fact that at a certain point, people were almost convinced that the quirk was not going to be that she was just like a standard Gen 1 version of Boba Fett, essentially, but that she was going to be force sensitive.
Right,
and like that kind of took over the narrative that, oh, she's going to have force powers, she's going to have force powers. So I think it got lost in all of that jazz.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I'm still not going to like completely veer off that Omega might not have some other sauce within her genes.
Yeah.
But we do know for sure now that the Kaminoans at some point in time, I'm guessing they probably didn't let Django or anyone know, but they're like, hey, you saved some of that unaltered Django semen, right? Let's kind of make up let's make a backup plan here just in case, because the clones, they're great. They got all Django's good stuff, but we've made a lot of genetic alterations and mutations to some of them. It's the sample's been degraded a bit, so let's keep a little bit of that fresh jizz from Django. In the cryo tube somewhere, keep it nice and cold, and on a rainy day, let's go ahead and make ourselves a female Django clone, just in case.
Yeah. How old do you think Omega is?
I think Omega is the same age that Boba Fett was in Attack of the Clones.
So you think she's roughly like 12,
yeah,
13,
10 to 12, 10 to 12, yeah.
So you figure then that they cooked her up. Like, because they did Boba basically as soon as he signed the contract. He was like, okay, well, I'll do it. Make me my clone right now. So they cooked up Omega. So bring it back 13 years.
Yeah, they probably waited like 3 years before they cooked her. And again, for people that aren't in the know, I'm talking like cooking even before Attack of the Clones. I mean, Boba was cooked 10 years prior to Attack of the Clones. Okay, so when we see him there, he's not accelerated like the regs and all that. Neither is Omega. But there is, I do believe. I mean, typically girls go through puberty faster. So if we're going to argue that they were cooked at the same time, then to me, she should still look a little older than the Boba we've seen in the Clone Wars as a teen.
I mean, at this point, Boba is man. He's probably 16, 17. Something like that,
16, 17 right? For sure. I mean, in my breakdown, I kind of bring up the fact that there definitely were hatched at different times because, and I know Boba, they kind of, in my opinion, over accelerated his teens in the Clone Wars because he goes from looking like Daniel Logan in season 1 or 2 to he's starting to turn into an older looking clone by, I think it was season 4. And we're talking only maybe a year or two had passed since then.
You got to see though, like, it's crazy how, like, I guess you'll see it soon with Charlie.
Yeah, I know.
5, 10 years.
It can happen.
When they hit that growth spurt,
right?
Boom.
When that testosterone or estrogen flows in either of the sexes, you never know what it's going to transform the human into.
Yeah.
But so she's definitely younger.
It was different. So, yeah, I think Omega's probably around 10 or 11, given like her physical build and stuff like that.
But there's no way she's 10 years younger than Boba. That just wouldn't physically be possible. Because they are. I mean, Boba at this time, we're still. I know it feels like days just based on watching the Bad Batch episodes, but it can't be any more than 6 months or so since the end of the Clone Wars, Fall of the Republic. So it's not like a massive amount of time has passed that has allowed Boba to, turn into his 20s. So he's still in his teens. She's probably 10 to 12, no older than 13. So there was a wait, and because of the wait, I do believe it was the Kaminoans kind of doing things on the shady side. They weren't on the up and up about this. I mean, they told Django requested Alpha. He did not request an Omega.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So okay, but we'll trust me, we're gonna get way deeper into that episode. It was pretty good. I love what we're getting with Fennec now and how that may play into Book of Boba and really her relationship with Boba Fett at this point. It might make a bit more sense outside of he just finding her in the desert and healing her. Maybe there is a deeper bond. Who knows? But before we get there, sometimes we like to shoot the shit when we don't have a guest, just talk about some random stuff we've gotten into in the past week. And if it is Star Wars related, that's great. If it's not, who gives a shit, right? It's not like we're charging you guys to listen to our dumbasses. But I've made my return to the cinema. I did that with A Quiet Place Part 2. Fantastic. Highly recommended if you're comfortable with that. But last week we got a new movie, and before all this bullshit happened, I was an A-list Stubbs member through AMC. I probably would see. I mean, I saw Nick at least one movie a week, typically the new release of the week. Sometimes it was getting upwards of my full 3, free screenings per week. So it was a huge hobby of mine. It was one of the things I probably missed the most about the pandemic. Throughout the months, I kind of got used to watching stuff at home, but there's still something about going to a theater and watching a big summer blockbuster like this movie I'm about to talk about, that it almost needs to be done in a traditional movie theater. Plus, I'm an AMC ape. I'm holding some shares, so I'm going to do my part in driving sales to those motherfuckers. They had their biggest box office weekend in I think over a year, thanks to Fast 9, which is the movie I went to see. And if you're rolling your eyes because I went to see Fast 9, you should be. Because the franchise is just batshit crazy at this point in time, and that's almost why I continue to go and support it. Fast and Furious has just become a complete mutation of what it started out to be. And Nick and I were talking about this before we went live, because after I watched Fast 9, and I'm not going to say I hated it. I'm not going to tell you to not go see it. I mean, if you like the Fast franchise and you like it because it is so fucking over the top and silly, you'll love Fast 9. I mean, I was laughing out loud, not at comedic moments, but at moments that are so fucking insane for reality. Like, I'm talking, I would laugh at these if superheroes were doing them. They're so fucking crazy that it is ultimately a good movie going experience. But like I was telling Nick, if you look at Fast 9, okay, no Fast 9 spoilers. I mean, I might, there is but they've talked about this, so I'm not going to feel bad about this, but there is a space scene, okay? They've promoted that. That's not a spoiler, but I'm not going to give you any spoilers because there's really nothing to spoil. It's a fucking stupid movie. It's just nothing but crazy action and CGI and just, I'm telling you, stuff that the Avengers wouldn't even dream to do. But either way, if you look at Fast 9, and then like me this weekend, I saw that the Fast and the Furious and Too Fast, Too Furious were on HBO Max. I was like, you know what? I haven't seen the originals in such a long time. And Nick, I didn't even realize, I mean, Fast 1 came out 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah, I saw they've been like promoting it and stuff recently, like 20 years of Fast and Furious.
I mean, first and foremost, kudos to everyone involved in the Fast franchise for keeping this thing going that long. Especially if you watch the first movie or two, you're like, how did they get 9 movies out of this shit? But here's the point. The Fast and the Furious is truly just a cops and robbers movie with cool cars, like souped up cars from the late 90s. You know,
like that's when you think like they were stealing DVD players.
Right. Yeah, that was Dom's gang's big get was robbing truckers on the highway of DVD players like, and CRT monitors.
Stack up on these fucking DVD players, boy. They I think even at one point they said what the score. They're like, it's a $20 million score, or some shit like that. And they open up the truck at one point, and it's all Panasonic DVD players.
Right. Well, I mean, again, 20 years ago, that was some big shit. DVD was all the rage. But point being, it truly, I mean, yeah, the cars were kind of over the top, but they were real. It was realistic. Street racing is a real thing. And they kind of stick to that. Yeah, the race at the end where they jump the train track and he flips the car and he's fine, walks away. Okay, that's all the movie nonsense. But it was purely, at its heart, cops and robbers, relationships, that type of shit. You know, there's definitely some broness in it. Too Fast, Too Furious gets even more broness. Hell, I didn't even remember. I mean, Dom isn't even in the second movie. Like,
no, he is not.
You can see right there that they never had plans to turn this into a Fast 9 type of franchise. It was Paul Walker, and this is where fucking Tyrese gets introduced.
Yeah, dude, he wasn't in the third one either.
No, none of the people from the first two were in the third one. Yeah. So I mean, the Fast franchise, it was just kind of like dying out, and anyone that they could get on the phone, they're like, "Hey, Ja Rule, you want to be in a movie?" Yeah, man. All right, you're in Fast 3. Hey, you guy and Lil Bow Wow, you want to be in a movie? Yeah. All right, you're the cast of Fast 3. And then it seems by Fast 4, I think that's when they got the cast together. But my point being is, I remember parts of Fast 3, and still there, the focus is on street racing, just like Fast 2 and Fast 1. It was all about street racing, and and there's a cop and robber mix to it. Paul Walker's Brian is usually working for the cops. But what it turns into by the time we get to Fast 9 is it's night and day. It has become... It's no fucking joke. They actually make fun of it in the movie. It has become a superhero franchise. It's no different. The feats that these people pull off will leave you, like me, with your jaw agape, laughing at the ridiculousness of what you just saw on screen. And now, because Big Amish said no spoilers, I will adhere to it. But within the first 10 minutes or so, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, someone actually wrote that on a script, and they're like, yeah, let's fucking film that, man. That's going to be bad ass.
Dude, I don't even know if they read the scripts anymore before greenlighting them. They're just like, whatever, just do it. I don't care what happens. You want to go back in time to the dinosaurs? Fucking do it. Fast and dinosaur. Go.
It's funny? It's funny you bring that up, because I went to an IMAX, and I guess these days, I don't know if they're making up for lost time, but IMAX movies at AMC, 30 minutes of fucking trailers.
Jesus.
30 minutes. And I show up late. Like, I have a system. I've always had a system. I leave my house right when the movie starts because I'm that close. I'm still sitting around for 15 minutes with my thumb up my ass going like, what the fuck is going on here? But back to Nick's dinosaur point. So it seems like all the trailers are over, right? And then it literally goes to a scene of a dinosaur walking through like the Jurassic period.
Yeah, because you were supposed to get like a Jurassic World teaser, right?
Nick, I'm sitting here. Well, I didn't know that. So I'm sitting here, I'm going, what the fuck? Fast and Furious, they're really fucking gonna incorporate dinosaurs somehow. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Is this them watching a movie or something? But then it eventually plays out. It was they kind of give you an early clip from the new Jurassic World movie. But at first, Nick, I'm not lying, I was going, holy shit, they really have just gone off the rockers. They're going to incorporate dinosaurs into Fast 9. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but there is a scene in space that may make a dinosaur inclusion in Fast and the Furious seem more realistic. I'll just leave it at that, okay? So, if you enjoy the Fast and Furious franchise, I highly recommend going to see Fast 9 just because of how silly it is. I mean, it is so over the top. You might as well just call yourself the Avengers of vehicles. All right. I mean, there is no reality left in this franchise where it used to be, in my opinion, outside of, movie stunts and some of that shit. It wasn't a franchise that, was too far from real life. I mean, this could happen. You could have these street racing syndicates that are also mixed up in some illicit activity. But where things are at by the end of Fast 9, and please God make a Fast 10, it is bonkers. And yes, as Johnny says in the chat, they still, I mean, the mantra family, that is probably the only thing that has carried through from Fast 1 to Fast 9, and that is it. Last comment on this. Vin Diesel doesn't give a fuck anymore. Doesn't give a fuck. Like, if you look at him from when he started as Dom till now, that guy's like, hey, I'm not an idiot. I know what I've got here. I mean, the Fast franchise has been my meal ticket. I really haven't acted in anything else that had a franchise. I mean, I've been in some recent movies, right? Like, he was in that quasi superhero movie last year, I believe. But Nick, in this movie, it's like, I don't even think he trains anymore. I mean, for a character that always has his sleeves off and is wearing tight shirts, I would think you would at least want to tone up a bit. Maybe not so much like The Rock's Hobbs character, but, go on like a little bit of a diet, Vin. I mean, there's a scene, I'm sitting there going, you know what? Kudos to Vin Diesel for just not giving a fuck, because he's wearing a wife beater. He's got those pancake, like, smashed old man tits hanging out. There's like almost no definition left in his arms. And his brother is John Cena.
Yeah, his brother's jacked as fuck.
which looks ridiculous. I mean, I like John Cena. I think he's good in comedic movies. He's not good in these types of movies. He's terrible. He's fucking terrible. Like, I mean, it just goes to show you that people like The Rock or Dave, even more so Dave Bautista, because I think Dave Bautista is probably the best overall actor of the wrestling class. I mean, he's not as popular as The Rock. But Bautista, I actually think, could give you some emotional shit. His little stint in Blade Runner, kind of clued me into that. But Cena, to me, so far, he's still kind of like when Hulk Hogan tried to act. It's just, he plays a bad guy, and yeah, he looks big and tough, but holy shit, it's just not good. Not good, John. Not good, pal.
Yeah. I may go see Fast 9 soon. The Regal Theater near me, which is the closest theater chain to me, they just reopened their branch again. I still have my unlimited membership, so I can go and see all the movies I want.
Did AMC buy them yet? Because I thought that was his plans. I mean, his plans at this point, after assholes like myself and the intern have made his company worth way more than it is, his plan is essentially to eat everything up.
I don't know. I don't think that they bought AMC.
I thought I read somewhere that they were snagging up Regal as well. Well.
I mean, if they do, hey, I'm all for it. As long as the movie theater close to me stays open, I don't give a fuck who owns it. Right, yeah.
No, I mean, AMC, at least in their theaters that they have either renovated or I don't know if they've built new recently, but they do it right. I mean, those Dolby screens are fantastic. You can get order to your seat now. Literally, when I'm ordering my ticket, and be like, "Yo, I want this, and this," and I'll sit in my seat, and they'll come drop it off. But yeah, here in this state, they've adopted the honor system. So I mean, I still wear a mask. I am one of those vaccinated people that will wear a mask out in public, especially in closed indoor situations like a movie theater, because I don't trust a single one of you motherfuckers out there. I've suffered too much trauma with my own friends that I thought were intelligent over this past year and a half. It's just like, I mean, fuck everybody. So I still wear my mask, but I am definitely going out in public like a regular person. Gonna tempt fate next week and go to an amusement park like an asshole, which is essentially, to me, it's like a vacation spot for hillbillies, which is probably going to be a hotbed for the Delta variant. So I guess we'll see how well the Moderna holds up, but I'll probably be an asshole in that hot weather wearing a mask all day in a fucking amusement park because a bunch of cocksucking selfish dicks out there that think they know more than scientists about this lovely vaccine that is proven to do what it was advertised to do. And no, look, nothing's sticking to my head. Hey, look, I'm not magnetized now, you dopes.
Yeah, I love how the magnetism thing came
bet.
in. So, yeah.
I don't bet. I don't hate Vin Diesel. Like I said, I think I give him credit because he's someone in Hollywood that's like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't care if Dom is supposed to be this big, tough guy. I'm going to do me.
He realizes now, especially with Paul Walker gone, like, he's the crux of the franchise.
Well,
like, if he's not in it, then
The Rock wasn't in this one, like, purposely. I mean, because I think him and Vin had some pretty hardcore beef on Fast 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why The Rock and Jason Statham had their own movie. They had the Hobbs and Fast and Furious present Hobbs and Shaw, and then Vin has like the proper whatever Fast and Furious.
Again, no spoilers, but there is an end credit to F9, so they are definitely going to do an F10, which I am sadistically excited for. All right.
It's so crazy, yeah. But I saw Cruella. I thought it was really fun.
Great, it's fantastic.
You don't even need to like Disney stuff. It's just a good movie. Cruella is just a good movie. Emma Stone is fantastic in it. This was like the first date night that Taylor and I had in a while. We went out to a Korean restaurant that was right across the street from the theater, had dinner, went to the theater, saw the movie. I mean, it was nice to have like a little date night again. So I would definitely recommend seeing Cruella if you are just in the market for a good movie to see at a theater, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'll second that. You know, I'm not too manly to admit that, but Cruella, we did it on the Disney Premiere Plus or whatever that jazz is a few weeks when it first came out. And just like Nick said, I was like, wow, this is a really good fucking take on this character that, I mean, you wouldn't have to know the cartoons or any of that shit. I mean, it definitely plays into it a bit. There's some nods to this character and how she may become that cartoon version of Cruella.
Yeah,
but it's
apparently
just
there's going to be a second one coming.
Well, good,
so.
because I think Emma Stone is she's a fucking treasure. I mean, she's a beautiful young lady, but she can act her ass off. I mean, that movie to me is all her. I mean, her and Emma Thompson are what really sell the dynamic of that film.
They fucking crush it. Joe says surprised they haven't turned it into a TV show.
Fast and Furious? Yeah,
there is a TV show. There's an animated series on Netflix. So
you're right. You are right. Hey, and again, I mean, Howard Stern says this all the time to people that get kind of luck into a franchise. Stick with it. I mean, I am not shitting on Fast and Furious. Even Nick was like, yeah, these movies are dumb as fuck, but I own all 8 of them. Okay?
Yeah. It's just like, dude, it's like when you see shit like there's a car that's running away from a submarine on an all ice shelf thing in Antarctica. Like,
that's nothing.
You have like your body has no reaction other than to just be like, what the fuck is going on? And just like watch out of pure like.
I'm telling you.
What?
Within the first 15 minutes of Fast 9, it makes any other ludicrous Fast and Furious scene seem realistic. It's fucking nuts. And the space scene, like I said, that's it right there. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it for Big Amish, but the space scene, that's all you need to know. It's almost worth going for that because you're going to be like, wow, these people must eat mushrooms to write this fucking shit. Because I don't know how anyone reads that on the page and goes, fuck yeah, that is going to kick ass. It's going to be believable. The fans are going to eat it up. It's going to be intense. It's going to be dramatic. No, when you see this, you'll be like, what the fuck were these people tripping on?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what you have to be on mushrooms to write these scripts now because there's no other way that you could think of anything.
So but at this point though, I'm totally reinvested in the Fast franchise. I will be continuing my rewatch. I'll be moving on to Tokyo Drift probably this weekend and then back, I think when the family gets back together in Fast 4, I think that's probably when Vin's like, hey, this thing's still making money. All right, I'll get involved. Yeah. I was one of the first people.
Yeah, no.
I think Black Series clips come
back.
Do it.
He comes back at the very end of 3. Like he was like a stinger scene at the end of the Tokyo Drift movie where like, oh my God, fucking Tom's, he's back. He's here in fucking Tokyo or some shit like that.
Okay. Now I'll need to check that out because like I said, I'm a fan, even as ridiculous as it is now, it was still, I didn't feel like I wasted life. And like I said, I laughed. I was confused at times, but I walked out going, hey, that was something. It was something.
I saw a movie.
Yeah. I saw something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it. We just changed this to the F&F time show. That's right. Fast and Furious. Up next, we're going to have Hobbs on as our guest. That's right. We got Dwayne The Rock Johnson calling in on the hotline. Dwayne, how you doing, buddy? Oh, just kidding. He would never call the Star Wars time show. No. All right, man. I guess we'll talk Star Wars, but sometimes we just like to share some pop culture shit with the fan base, just in case you might have been, in a little shell or in a bubble and not really paying attention to what's going on out there in pop culture outside of Star Wars, which is completely respectable. I get it if you just want to silo yourself in that galaxy from far, far away. But I do like myself some pop culture, and Fast and Furious is 100% etched in our generation's pop culture at this point in time. I mean, shit came out when I was 20. It's crazy, and I'm still talking about it. Yeah. All right, Bad Batch. Here we go. Breaking down S1E9, what I called Alpha and Omega, but as Nick corrected me, Bounty Lost. All right, so This one, Nick, it was still a little light on kind of the nuancy stuff that I like to get into, the eggs and references. But I would say this one was far from filler and really was kind of action packed. We had a little bit of a space battle to start things off. We had two formidable bounty hunters going toe to toe, really kind of showing their skill sets off. We had Omega again channeling her daddy's Mandalorian roots and kind of figuring out her own way and essentially saving herself with an assist from the batch. So overall, general impressions, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm always going to love an episode where it allows me to tell all of you how right I am. So the fact that this episode confirmed my speculation from March 30th that Omega was indeed the Omega to Boba's Alpha, that is now canonized. It opens up so many fucking doors for Boba Fett and Omega in Bad Batch and beyond, so I think that's super exciting. But yeah, I mean, we knew we're in the second half of the season, and episode 9 really kind of took those reins and ran with it. I wasn't expecting Omega to be saved so quickly, but I kind of dig that they did, and they didn't really draw that out. Obviously, it's going to open up all sorts of cans of worms for the Bad Batch, which is why I think the writers got her right back into their care.
Yeah, I was definitely, based off of our speculation during the segment last week where we were talking about the July episode titles, I think we kind of pegged that she may be lost for a little bit longer than we expected, but obviously we were wrong about that. But I agree with you. Overall, the episode was fun, and it was one of the first episodes where you were almost completely removed from the batch themselves and from Crosshair and the Empire. Like you were completely focused on Omega, Bane, and then Fennec at the end. So I thought that was a very cool change to the dynamic of the show. Hey,
get in the chat. What's Tones questioning me on? I got to correct him. What are you talking about, Tones? You saying I didn't call that Omega was an unaltered Jango clone but made female? Get out of here. Just go check the link in the chat. Look, it's right there. The speculation. You can see it.
I think he's got the winky face in there, so he's just poking you. But
I didn't refer to Boba as the alpha in that speculation.
Yeah,
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
think that anybody.
What a tough audience. I mean, no wonder no one watches my shit still, even though I'm essentially predicting shit that happens months before it happens. They call me the Nostradamus of Star Wars. Sorry, Nick, to cut into your appraisal of the episode.
Please carry on. It was fun to see, like you said, this kind of showdown between Cad Bane, and Fennec.
Hell yeah, dude!
I mean, that was one of the best non-Force user fights that we've probably seen in a long time in live actions, or not, in animated Star Wars.
I mean, it's Star Wars period, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, you don't have a lot of those. That
was a great way to phrase it there, young Nick. Because I think you hit on to something. You're exactly right. I don't think we've ever had a battle between non-Force users that was that intense, that long, took up that much of a narrative.
Yeah,
because Cad and Fennec. I mean, it was like. It was like Ali Frazier. I mean, you have to say that, the only reason he lost out is she might have, used her tech a bit more, or, Omega, like I said, was kind of taking care of herself. That kind of helped as well. But they were very equal. I mean, I think it was a great way to kind of establish Fennec as a badass, even though she's new on the scene, as Cad says. But also to remind everyone that, Cad Bane is no slouch either.
Yeah. Because if you think about, like, the only movie where there were legitimately no Force users in it was Rogue One, and Solo. But, like, there was never, like, a really good, like, one-on-one battle like we saw.
Not like fisticuffs. I mean, Solo, it was mostly blaster based. I mean, there's always some good gun battles in Star Wars, but I think you're right. I think in terms of just, like a fisticuffs with some tech mixed in,
Yeah,
that was
the best
solid.
one.
I mean, yeah, we could always be like, yeah, Boba Fett kicking the shit out of stormtroopers in The Mandalorian. Yeah, that was pretty awesome too. But
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily a duel. Anyone can kick the shit out of stormtroopers. We've established that.
Yeah.
But seeing these two bounty hunters go toe to toe and each using their own skills and tricks was a treat.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I hope that we get some of that kind of stuff in live action in Book of Boba Fett. I mean, that would be the perfect avenue to bring in more battles, hand-to-hand combat like this. So I thought that was cool. Omega, again, like taking control of her own fate in a way was really nice to see. We've seen her grow so quickly through these episodes since she's been with the Batch and off of Camino. And this was really the first time, or one, like outside of that episode where she had to go get the power converter after Hunter was knocked out. Like, this was one of the first times that she literally had to fend for herself completely. And
I think it's being done on
really
purpose, Nick. It's like with each subsequent episode, Omega is becoming more and more of her father, if you will, her brother. I mean, you can see now that we know. I mean, she has that Mandalorian DNA baked into her, and obviously hanging around the Bad Batch, she's becoming more and more resourceful, more and more able to take care of herself. And like you said, both the Batch, Crosshair included, they were mostly ancillary to this episode. It truly was about Omega's escape from Cad Bane. All right,
Yep.
We can't really say escape from Fennec now that we've learned what we know about Fennec, which we'll touch on, and I really enjoy. But yeah, I think by the end of the season, I mean, hell, Omega may be the fucking leader of the Bad Batch. She just you don't know, but clearly this little girl isn't just your standard little person, right? I don't want to make a difference between little girls and boys. Each can do amazing things.
child.
But clearly her time spent with the Batch, as well as her genetic makeup, just like Boba himself, she is metamorphosizing into a very capable and skilled Mandalorian clone.
Yeah, definitely. So overall, I think that this was definitely one of the best episodes of the season so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I dug it. Plus, we got some like cool, just old Kaminoan lore, like their original cloning facility on Boyo Vow or whatever the hell it was called. Seeing some of that shit they were doing there. I mean, some of those cloning tubes I'll talk about right now in the egg segment, but they look kind of familiar to some cloning facilities we've seen in some recent Star Wars. So let's break down some of the eggs and references here. First up, we talked about last week. You heard it here, but we got confirmation in this episode when Cad takes off his hat. But there is his replaced skull piece. So that just kind of drives it home even more that there's a good chance that Filoni and team have accounted for the Fett and Cad duel. It's just happened off screen now, which, boo-hish yuck, but I think that's probably being done for an ultimate showdown, which at this point in time, there's some legit stakes added to it if you consider that Omega is technically Boba's little sister. You would think... Definitely. The way Boba is with family, especially his father, everything was about his dad. I want to honor my dad. Even to Din, he's like, yo, this is my dad's armor. It's all about his dad, right? Yeah. So he's
when
very...
When you see the guy get his head cut off right in front of you, it sticks with you.
He's very... to me, he seems very family-oriented, which seems odd for a clone, but he is.
He would be a good member of the Fast and Furious gang.
Exactly.
He's all about La Familia.
He is the Dom of Star Wars, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the tattoo underneath his armor.
Even if you think about it, Nick, in the Clone Wars, he created a family for himself with Aura Singh and Bosk. I mean, I'd say those were like his de facto stepmom and dad. But we know he worked with Dengar as well, and they treated him like a boss. He was the leader, even though he was a little teenage shithead still. So one has to speculate, and this one speculates these days, it sometimes comes true. But if Cad is going to keep on Omega's trail,
yep.
And we know now Fennec has essentially been hired to protect her from ever being returned to the Kaminoans. And we know that she is directly related to the Alpha, aka the Boba. There's a damn good chance Boba Fett is going to get mixed up in this chase.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's almost like a take it to the bank kind of thing. I mean, we now know that Star Wars is heavily invested in the Fett business. Like, he's got his own series. He played a huge part in The Mandalorian, and it's almost for sure that he's coming in this season of the or Bad Batch, because there's just too much connection. There's too much like bringing in Cad Bane by himself was enough to have Boba kind of insert himself into the story somehow. Now having it to where Omega, like you said, is essentially his sister. She is the female version of him. Like, there is even more of a reason for him to come in.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you never know with Boba at this point. He definitely has many chips on his shoulder. Maybe he's still like, fuck you. I'm the best Fett. Fuck, my dad didn't want to have you. You're an abomination. Maybe Boba has a negative reaction to Omega, but I'm still thinking that he's going to have a little affinity for her. But I 100% see Boba showing up before this season ends. I think he's going to be in the armor because he technically hasn't been featured in it in the Clone Wars. He's always worn something else.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be if he'll have it painted his own color yet.
Well, if they are going to pay off on the deleted scene at some point, and these two do have a duel on screen, I would say yes, because he was painted in that duel, the deleted duel we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we're not there yet. I want to go. I'm gonna put more time into the Omega Boba connection and how that could play out down the road, even into Book of Boba. But
yeah, that's
kind of
back lot of people in the chat.
Back to all the connections, though, Nick. I mean, even the fact that Fennec is in the Bad Batch and she is not related to, but her storyline is closely related to Omega's. And we know that Fennec essentially becomes a loyal hand of Boba. It's all starting to come together a little bit. I think we're starting to see some of the layers are being peeled off of Filoni's grand plan here for the resurgence of Boba Fett, the live action franchises, and what his team is doing in the animated universe with the Bad Batch. And I love it. I mean, it's just brilliant shit left and right. Real quick, Tones. I don't think we'll get a hot toy Omega unless they put her in some form of armor. And possibly not until maybe she's an older character. I can't, outside of Kuiil, and that's only because he's a smaller stature character, they typically don't make children hot toys, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think the smallest ones I've seen would be the Jawas, the Ewoks, and like I said, Kuiil, but that's just their stature. I've never seen like I guess there's never been a main kid character though, so I was gonna say never really say never again.
The only option that you would have had outside of Omega now is if you would have made like episode 1 Anakin.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and they did it, so they did it. So I guess that speaks volumes. Who knows? Anyways, back to the eggs and references. So yeah, I mean that concept art wasn't bullshit. Like I told you, there you go. Cad definitely suffered some sort of egregious injury to his dome. All right, so again, Tech, just like C-3PO or other robots, he kind of is a character that explains lore to us, the viewers. So we learned from Tech, this is where we get the official confirmation on my speculation. Yes, Tones, I will bring that up as many times as I can, because that's all I have in life, is to know that I'm right 10% of the time on Star Wars speculations. I don't really have much else to get up for at this point in time. But Tech is the one that confirms, like, hey, Omega, she isn't like us. She is unaltered. There's only been one other unaltered clone, and it is the Alpha, which later became referred to as Boba. So that was it. Tech was the one that kind of made my day last Friday and let me know that even though no one else gives a shit, I should feel damn proud about my pointless and useless skill at being decent at predicting future Star Wars moments. Okay? So thank you, Tech. These cloning tubes, all right, they look kind of familiar, especially if you've read the recent Vader comic where he goes to Exegol and you see some of the early shit that Palpatine was getting into with cloning. Looked very similar. I mean, you could also argue that, and I think I put this in the video, some images from The Mandalorian Season 2 when they're on Navarro and they find that facility.
Yeah.
So, hey, cloning tubes. Neat. And I think the last one here, the alien that Omega, kind of hilariously dumps on top of Fennec. I mean, Nick, that's like if you told someone, hey, this is what an alien looks like, that's what you would point to, right? That's exactly kind of what I was getting to. That is your tried and true version of what humans think an alien would look like. The big head, the big glassy eyes. So to me, that was definitely an egg reference to just aliens. All right?
Yeah, just like the popular cultural perception of aliens. I saw that. And I was like, man, is that something? Is that like something that we're missing?
Right.
Like, do I not just grasp it? Because there was definite like recognition as soon as it hit.
Okay,
and
good.
It wasn't until you said it that I was like, oh yeah, that's just like the fucking standard alien.
Yeah,
like,
this was one of those moments, one of those scenes where in my notepad, I put a question mark next to my notes. Like, I need to follow up on this to verify if this is anything worth discussing. And after a while, I was like, that this isn't, like Nick was thinking, this isn't anything that is Star Wars universe related, but this is for damn sure what, the little green men mantra has become, and really in human society. When we think of aliens, or like I said, if they were in a dictionary or an encyclopedia, they would be somewhat gray looking, kind of ashy, with a bigger head and big black glass eyes. So I think that was a purposeful nod to that style of alien in the show. All right, now for the key moments here. And, obviously this first one paid off within the episode, but I want to go back to last week when I kind of already teased this fact. Last week, if you were listening, which I don't blame you if you weren't, because I wouldn't listen to us for 4 hours. But I specifically said when Nala Se was in the room with Lama Su and Tan Wee, and Lama Su was like, we need to get some more fucking bounty hunters. They purposely panned to Nala Se, and you could tell that she had a look of concern. Yeah. And again, this week, when he's like, listen, we gotta get her. We gotta get her, and once you get the good stuff, kill the motherfucker. Nala Se leaves the room and again is sitting there very ominously, and you're like, okay, she is not on board with this plan whatsoever. Yeah, she was not about killing her, essentially her lab assistant. I mean, Omega and Nala Se had a close relationship, and you could gather that from the very short interaction that we saw between the two of them in the first episode of The Bad Batch. So it's not surprising that while Lama Su is literally like, he's like a businessman, he's worried about the bottom line, and that's it. Like, Nala Se is out here trying to save her friend, for lack of a better you're all right. They were lab assistants, but I think it's pretty clear that Nala has a little bit more than just a boss worker relationship going on with Omega. She has some level of affection for this character, and clearly, like I said, we find out that she ain't fucking around. I mean, she's Team Omega through and through. Okay, we've kind of talked about this a lot, but we learned that Omega is just like Boba. The only difference is that she was given the female gene versus the penis gene. Yep. So she's probably overall better if you really think about it. And you're right, I was mistaken here, Tones. Our friend Johnny Osage, check out his account. He has a custom, I think it's a 1/12 scale, grown up Omega in Bad Batch armor. It is legit.
Nice.
Maybe he'll send it to the Star Wars Time Show. You never know. But he used like ScarJo's head from a figure, and it works great. Like if they are gonna, and I do, and this is where we can kind of talk about it. But if Omega does kind of continue on into future Star Wars, all the way into the live action universe via Book of Boba, it would be cool to see her donning Bad Batch armor and not Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, for sure.
Like she takes, Hunter's fallen armor or one of them and crafts it for herself and kind of keeps the whole Bad Batch mantra going in her adult life. But that's kind of what I want to get into. Now that we know that Omega and Boba are directly related, they are essentially 99.99% identical outside of their sex. They're boy girl type of stuff, and I talked about how there's a good chance Cad Bane and other bounty hunters may be still chasing after Omega. Fennec will probably still be protecting her, and with the knowledge that the Alpha and the Omega are related, there's a good chance our man Fett will be getting mixed up in the Bad Batch, and yes. I hope that's just done to connect the two characters and to resolve or add more fuel to the Cad and Boba Fett dual fire. But ultimately, Nick, do you see any of these storylines or remnants of them? Because by the time they get to Book of Boba, then we are talking about 20 years plus.
Yeah.
Do you see character storylines bleeding in the Book of Boba either through some of his own flashbacks or into the present timeline of the Book of Boba and / the Mandalorian? Like, do we get a grown Omega who may go by a different name at this point in time? She may change it just like Boba did. Yeah. Do we get a live action Omega at this point in time, knowing what we know about the connections?
Yeah, I think that Book of Boba almost for sure brings in a live action Omega. I think more than likely it's going to come through in flashback format. It will be interesting to see if they do try to carry this character all the way through to the current timeline when we get to Book of Boba Fett, because it's so hard to do that given all of the timeline that you essentially have to skip for her to be there and then be a relevant part of the show. I think that it's almost a done deal that you'll get flashbacks that include Omega, and then maybe you even see, like, if she doesn't survive, if she's not alive in the Book of Boba Fett timeline, then you could potentially see her death in flashback form, and that is another reason that could be play into the reason why Boba kind of moves away from that bounty hunting lifestyle and now lives a little bit more nomadically.
There
like maybe go. He starts to, he starts to question his line of work. Like if he, for example, like if he finds Omega, he finds out that Omega is his sister and they do start to develop a familial type of bond, and he brings her in and he's like, hey, we can be a team now. Like we can work together and we can kind of take this bounty hunting thing as a team. And if she gets killed on a job, like that completely just changes his perception of like what his line of work is.
Well, how about you could take it this way, Nick, like completely opposite. Omega to me is not someone that would embrace her father
like
and her brother's lifestyle. I understand why Boba did. I mean, he was raised by fucking bounty hunters. He watched Django do some shady shit with the separatists. He watched his dad get murdered. I mean, Boba didn't live quite the sanitized life after he left Camino that Omega, spent most of her life there living sanitized, and is just now. I mean, hell, in episode 2, she's looking at dirt and questioning what it is, and she's about ready to eat it because it's so new to her. So I would take it this way. I could see Omega being put off by her brother's profession and potentially becoming a foil of his, someone that tries to stop him, if not tries to talk him into reevaluating his life, and that's where I could see in flashbacks maybe. I'm still hoping their bond is established and there is somewhat of a connection made in Bad Batch, but I could see down the line all these years later, knowing that Boba does become a scumbag and does shady shit. That's his profession. He's very good at it, but he's not a good guy. He's more of a bad guy than a good guy, I would say. Yeah, but maybe she ultimately confronts him down the road, like, listen, brother, this is not okay. This is not what we should be doing. And maybe we learn that's ultimately what allows him, through his time outside the Sarlacc, to kind of get his shit together and reevaluate the type of player he wants to be in the galaxy. You just don't know with Boba Fett, because by the end of Mandalorian, he took over Jabba's palace with force, which is a haven for shitbags and bounty hunters and smugglers and scoundrels. So it seems like he's getting right back into life. So you just don't know with the guy yet. But I from my perspective, seeing how Omega has been written and how she is being raised by the Bad Batch, I don't necessarily ever see her being okay with Boba Fett's chosen profession. No, in fact, like I said, I could see her kind of being someone that tries to get him to stop, either through force or through conversation and other heroic acts. I don't know how they... I mean, are those flashbacks within the Book of Boba, or is it present timeline? You know, does she help him? Does he go after he gets Jabba's palace? Does he start to get back into that life heavy? And now does she show up again and be like, damn it, Boba, I thought we went over this, you dumbass. What are you doing?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if she's still like, man, it's always weird when you see these characters like Omega pop up and then make their way all the way through. Like, I feel like it's a little bit more believable when it goes Fennec's way, where like you meet her in the later timeline and then they drop her into the past timeline. Like, when you're introduced to somebody in the past and then they pull them through all the way to the present, it seems a little weird, especially if there's not already an established character that you can link them to, like you did with Rex. Like with Rex, you were like, oh yeah, he's here in the Clone Wars era, but he was also here, and this is him in the movies. Like, it was a little bit easier to make that transition, but I think that they will be able to do it.
Well, I mean, that they had to kind of like back into the canon.
Oh yeah,
Where this with they can lay the groundwork for whatever canon they want now with Omega and Boba. Technically, I mean, they don't have many constraints. I mean, they resurrected the guy from a horrible fate, supposedly the Sarlacc pit. So at this point, I think Filoni, he's comfortable, you know, getting a little cheeky with existing canon, and it's a little more malleable to him than I think to some fans. But
1/6 is in here saying that she makes them change the name of the ship.
to Boba Fett's starship. So let's go. I was going to save this for the toy segment. I'll address it now. Is this really this big of a deal, people? Like, is your life ruined over this? I mean, it's just on the front of a Lego box. It's still the Slave One. You can still call it the Slave One. No one's going to arrest you. They're just calling it Boba Fett Starship on a box to sell. It's not like when you build the Lego, it's going to have a new etching on it that says Boba Fett Starship. You can still call it the Slave One. I will still call it the Slave One. It'll always be the Slave One. The fact that in marketing they want to call it Boba Fett Starship, and I knew it was going to pop up. I mean, it showed up in Discord, and it's popped up in the Star Wars news universe. I'm knee deep in that shit every day. I get it. To me, it's a know nothing story. It's like, who cares? I mean, it's also cares. You know when I'll care, and this is still probably going to sound Neanderthal. If they change it in universe and Boba Fett no longer calls it the Slave One, he just says that's my starship, then I might be like, come on. Like, how PC do we have to get? But the fact that they just want to call the toy box Boba Fett Starship, I could give two fucks. It's still the Slave One inside that box.
Like, from a marketer's standpoint, people don't know what Slave One is. Like, people outside of Star Wars, like if you're a kid and like you watch, you know, The Mandalorian, or if you watch, you know, the Bad Batch or whatever, like they don't ever say the name Slave One, I believe, that much. Like, if at all, don't say it to a point of remembrance. Like with the Millennium Falcon, they say it all the time. Like, you know, like the name of the Falcon is known. Whereas Slave One, unless you're like a hardcore Star Wars
they never.
fan,
I don't think it's ever spoken.
I don't. Yeah, it's
maybe
never
in Clone
actually
Wars.
said.
Maybe in Clone Wars, I can't remember, but I'm almost positive in the movies it's never referred to.
Yeah, it's for sure never said in any live action film. So like when you're marketing something to like parents or to like children, if you put Slave One on there, they don't know what that is. If you put Boba Fett's ship on there, they're like, "Oh, this is Boba Fett. I love Boba Fett." So from a pure marketing standpoint, it actually makes more sense to not have it on there just out of pure name recognition.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but everyone's going to go to, the wokeness and all that nonsense. It's just like, who cares? I mean, it's like I said about all this stuff. Does it affect your life? I mean, are you losing money? Are you losing sleep over that? And if you are, maybe reevaluate who you are as a person. Yeah. I mean, I wonder. Nick, there's someone that started a fucking petition on change.org for this.
Oh, of course. I mean, change.org gets petitions for fucking everything. Change the name of this pizza joint.
The entitled nature of humanity, thanks to the internet, is just mind-blowing at this point in time. It's like, it's the name on a toy box. It's still the Slave One. You can call it the Slave One. You're not going to go to jail. Who cares? Yeah. Now, even in like universe, if they start, calling it not the Slave One in Book of Boba Fett, I'll be like, you know what? That's kind of stupid. But I'm still not going to get on the internet and create a clickbait video bitching and moaning with false outrage over something that I really don't give a shit about. You know why this is a big play right now? Because anything that is political or can be politicized gets a lot of fucking views and clicks. And we don't partake in that. The only thing we commented on that was political was the Gina thing, because that was a pretty big fucking happening in Star Wars land. Yeah. But stuff like this, I mean, it's just something again that's over politicized, whether you like it or not. I mean, who cares? It's still the Slave One to me. When I see it, if I get the set, I'll call it the Slave One. Big fucking deal if it says Boba Fett Starship on the box. I will say, Tone shared a great meme over this that I might share on our account. It's from the Phantom Menace, and it's when Padme is talking to Anakin about, he's like, "No, I'm a slave," and she goes, "You're a slave." Next screen, it's Anakin's body with the Slave One in his head, and he goes, "No, I'm Boba Fett's starship." She's like, "Are you a slave?" And he goes, "No, I'm Boba Fett's starship." So that was fucking that was all. I can appreciate that. Someone making fun of all this, yes. I can get down with that. But I mean, like Devin's saying here, it's outrage content. It's just, I know that's why we're never going to be popular. But I don't know. I feel bad for those type of content creators, and I feel bad for those people that subscribe to that stuff. Like there's probably, I don't know if you get it, Nick, but I'd say every week someone asks me about a Star Wars story that I'm just like, you even considered that was real? Like, just look at the source and look at the material. It's like, come on, these people just do this shit so you click, because they know that whether you agree with them or not, you are having an emotional reaction to their content, so you're going to go fucking check it out.
I don't know how many times over the last year, just like people in my neighborhood or like have asked me, like, because they know I'm on the show and stuff, and they're like, "Oh my God, I read somewhere that Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired." I'm like, it's not true. Like, just don't read. Like, I know for stuff like this, like for Star Wars stuff, it's hard to like pin down like a reliable source outside of us and like Star Wars official and like the standard Hollywood reporter stuff. But like, look at who you're reading from. If you're reading from fucking Mike Zero, or you're reading from one of these like weird ass sites that you've never heard of before, it's like, it's really hard to put any sort of like,
if it is a controversial topic, like clickbait topic, and we all know what clickbait topics are at this point in time, it's probably not real. It's just a way to get humans who are now trained to click, like, comment, outrage over nonsense. I mean, that's our whole society. I know it's ridiculous over here in the States. I don't know how bad it is in other parts of the world, but over here, our culture now only wants to be outraged over shit that really doesn't mean dick.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything to humanity.
Yeah, apparently, so Black Series Clips in here says that even the Bad Batch's ship, which is called the Havoc Marauder.
Yeah, which I didn't even know. I didn't even know it had a fucking name. So that point made. Thank you.
Yeah, he says on the box for that, it just says Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, like on the Lego box. So it's not even like it's just consistent across all of it. It's literally like, hey, mom is walking through the toy aisle. She knows that kid Nick likes Star Wars stuff. Oh, look, there's Boba Fett's ship. Boom. There you go.
Yeah. So
like, it's just easier to buy.
There's our talk on that. And like, again, I mean, if you guys are outraged at it, good for you. I do not have that emotional capacity to get upset about this type of stuff. I mean, the shit I get upset about is the fact that we're one of the richest countries in the world and we can't kick this thing's fucking ass. We throw away vaccine where other countries, people drive 4 or 5 hours and probably pay an arm and a leg to get it. That's stuff that should get you upset. Not that they're going to change the name of Boba Fett's ship on marketing materials to Boba's Starship. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of political correctness myself. I mean, there's a lot of times in my head when I'm doing this dumb show, my governor is going, whoa, pull that back, pal. You never know who that might offend, even though it's probably not that bad, but you just don't know. So I'm not a huge fan of some of the PC movement either. But other parts of the PC movement that are being done so people that aren't like me, a white man, can feel better about who they are, good. What the fuck do I care? It's like I said last week. I mean, you like rainbows, great. I love it. As long as you're not fucking with me or breaking the law, do whatever you want. Okay? Isn't that true freedom? All you freedom-loving patriots I hear about all the time? You cancel culture motherfuckers. All right, let's get back to some fun stuff. I'm glad we got that one out of the way. So,
all right.
I'm sure we probably just lost another half of the audience because we'll be accused
How many
of
people
being
stopped watching?
We'll be accused of being the woke police or whatever the fuck that means these days. But let's be real, people. I mean, there's a lot more stuff to get up in arms about, like the fact that Hasbro sucks at releasing exclusive figures, and it's a pain in the ass to get them, and half the figures they release aren't even figures we want. Now that's stuff to get outraged about. Okay, all right. Back to the breakdown. So the last key moment here, and we've touched on this a bit, and I love how it played out, and I kind of feel bad for Tan We, who was a character that was carried over from Attack of the Clones. It was even the same vocal performer came back to perform Tan We in Bad Batch. So we get some. I mean, it's a key Star Wars lore moment. We have a movie character that gets killed in an animated franchise. But ultimately, what we learned here is that Nala Se hired Fennec Shand to essentially become Omega's bounty hunter protector. I mean, and you could look at it as she sort of became a paid Din Djarin, right? Din took on Grogu as his ward willingly after he realized he was a scumbag. Fennec took on Omega as her ward with some cash. But it was a big moment. We had an Attack of the Clones character killed. You could argue that Tan We was to Boba Fett as Nala Se is to Omega, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right? But it just, it adds a new layer to the character of Fennec Shand. At this point, we now know that she is more than capable at fighting super clones. She's more than capable at going toe-to-toe with one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy in Cad Bane. And we know she became an Imperial assassin, so who knows what happens next. But we can also say that she has a confirmed Star Wars character kill in Tan We. All right?
Yes.
So, good stuff from the Bad Batch. Last week we were talking, we learned the title names, and I believe, Nick, I don't know if you can pull that post up real quick while I'm vamping, but I believe episode 10 had something to do with making a pact with somebody, right? You able to find that somewhat quickly?
Right here.
All
the
right.
next title is, let's see, Common Ground is July 2nd. So that's going to be the next title.
So this episode coming up on Friday, Common Ground. So let's kind of kick the tires on that. Common Ground. Who would share common ground with the Batch and Omega? Is this the Boba Fett episode? Right? They all hate Cad Bane, technically. And
yeah.
We now know the Boba Omega connection. Or is this where, Fennec maybe fully teams up with the Bad Batch to help them protect Omega on another attempt by, could be Cad Bane. Hell, it could be Boba Fett. I mean, it's not like Boba Fett's going to know he has a sister. So, I mean, he's a bounty hunter. He works with bounty hunters that probably got the call from Lama Su. Yeah. So what if Common Ground is Fennec and the Bad Batch teaming up with Omega to fend off more bounty hunter attempts? Or it could be Boba coming in and kind of figuring shit out and pledging his support to Omega. That's kind of where I'm going just based on the title. What say you?
Actually, I think that the most interesting way to pull in Boba here is that we know that Lama Su is now all in on just hiring bounty hunters to get this job done. So if you really want to fuck with things, if you really want to fuck with Omega, you hire Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And like you have Boba Fett go after her. And I think like that is probably that to me, that would be the coolest way to bring him in, not have him like somehow find out about it.
You're kind of running with my common ground may be the fact that, Fennec, I believe is, oh my God, I almost threw up. Fennec, I believe, is still on the payroll, right? Like it's kind of an open contract to keep an eye on Omega. Because she's like, do you want me to track these bozos? And Nala's like, hey, as long as she's not in anyone else's hands, outside of you and the Bad Batch, I'm cool. Yeah. So I'm kind of with you too. Let's say Boba is the next one to make an attempt. The common ground to me is this is where Fennec again kind of comes in and like, hey, assholes, we might not like each other right now because I tried to kill you a few episodes back and you think I'm trying to steal her, but I'm actually just being paid to protect her. And hell, they don't even care if she stays with you guys. But if you guys can't protect her from from Fett, I'm here to help. There's our common ground.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Or through the ordeal by the end is there common ground once Boba Fett learns the truth. I think those are the two possibilities, right? To fit the common ground. Because let's be real, the titles really do pay off on the content. They are typically 1 or 2 word summaries of the episode, and they're spot on.
Yeah, so, I mean, bounty lost, pretty straightforward.
Dude, they really are.
Bounty.
Yeah, they really are very, very succinct summaries of the episode's plot. So to me, I think we've kind of theory crafted it between the two of us. Yeah. But I think there's 2 ultimate ways the common ground would make sense. The first is, like we said, Boba is the next up, but Fennec shares common ground with the Batch to keep Omega safe.
Yeah,
or
and I mean, the next one,
it's the one I said where Boba, does this thing and maybe almost gets her, but through this, that, and the other thing, maybe even still Fennec, he learns of Omega's lineage, and there's their common ground. But like Nick said, episode 11, we get into Devil's Deal, so that's like that to me means that whatever deal they might have made or they're going to make is they're making it with a shithead.
That's like the weird thing is like it could apply to this situation where like the Batch knows that as long as, I mean, kind of like you could liken it to the Mando, where like the Batch knows that if Omega is with them, then sure, her life is constantly in danger because they're going to be hunted by the Empire until they're all dead.
They're actually, I think it's opposite, Nick. the only reason they're really being chased down, at least by the bounty hunters, is because of Omega. Well, I guess you're right.
Well,
I mean, Crosshair
by the bounty hunters.
Yeah, Crosshair technically, I guess, is more concerned with the Batch. So it is. You're all right. It is kind of a two-pronged effort on the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
But they both kind of fuck each other. Like Omega's bringing in all the nut jobs, where the Bad Batch is bringing in the Empire.
Yeah. So they're so from the Batch's perspective, if you could say we're right, Boba Fett shows up in Common Ground, he's the one that's hunting her, whatever, and they flip him instead of just fighting him off. They flip him, and then he takes Omega. Like they make a deal, like this is your kith and kin, this is your blood. You take her, and that is a devil's deal right there.
I think
you're
we're on
literally
sort of
giving her.
Here's my take. It's somewhat on the same wavelength, but it's not quite that hard of a cut. I could see it being by the end of Common Ground, and maybe this is why it is. They all figure everything out. Like Boba Fett learns the truth. Maybe Fennec's there to give him a little info, and I could see at this point Hunter going like, "Listen, we know it's the Kaminoans sending all these people after Omega. Let's, under the guise of Boba Fett capturing her, let's let Boba Fett take her, bring her to Kamino, and have him take out Lama Su and whatnot and the other thing. Or maybe not take her, but Boba Fett's like, hey, Lama, I got her, I'm coming back. He gets back there and fucking wipes out the Kaminoans. There's the devil's deal to get them off of Omega's back. Because at this point in time, the Empire could give two fucks about Omega. Like, they could give a shit. It's only Lama Su trying to save his business that cares about her. Truly at this point, because Tom Wee's dead. Nala Se clearly doesn't share his agenda. So it could be not so much that the Bad Batch completely separates, hey, Boba, you deal with her now, but hey, let's use Boba. Let's say he got her, he goes back to Kamino, and that's when he kind of springs his little surprise on Lama and caps his ass and kind of removes that angle of attack. But also that would probably escalate the Empire's search for the Bad Batch and Omega. So who knows?
And I think that my feeling is that the first season of Bad Batch is going to mirror kind of the second season of Mando, where once we get towards the end or to the end, there's going to be a separation of these characters. Like Omega is going to separate from the Bad Batch, like in a more permanent fashion, whether it be through, like them handing her off to somebody else or like her choosing to leave or something like that. I feel like there has to be like a separation period of those two.
I don't know. I kind of went that route with Mando, right? I was like, oh, we're going to go into season 3. Grogu's still going to be separated. I really think to the writers, the show is about the clones. It's about Bad Batch and Omega. So I don't see them quite yet separating them for any amount of time. Because if so, then it's a 1-season run. Because what do you do after that point? You start up a next season. Like, what are these? Like, what motivation do these schmoes have to do anything outside of maybe go find Captain Rex?
I think they have a lot though. Like, there's like their motivations,
but to where we would care about. I mean, really, we care about the Bad Batch now because of Omega and what we've learned, but we don't necessarily care about them. Not so much like we cared about a Rex or an Echo and all those people.
There's a lot of like things that these characters can get into in this particular time in the galaxy. I mean, I know right now the whole show is predicated on.
I don't think we go to a Bad Batch where you just get an episode of the clones or you get an episode of Omega doing stuff. I think they're going to be. They're kind of the same package to me.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I would like to see them separate from her and then play it differently like that, because then it gives you time to see character development happen for Omega outside of like, hey, your life is constantly in danger because you're with these people. And it's like, it's an interesting dynamic to play off.
That's Star Wars though. Would you watch a Star Wars property where there was no danger? She was just like learning and training and having a good time?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think that would be really, I think that would be really interesting. And that's why I enjoyed like the Jedi Academy stuff like that, and like watching like younglings learn and old canon and stuff like that. I thought that was super interesting. But also, you know, maybe that's not for everybody. Like, I think that character development doesn't need to happen in a situation to where like she's just constantly.
I'm not saying character development.
Yeah.
I'm just saying story in general. I don't think you'd ever get a Star Wars property where it's just all a character grows. Like there's no impetus. There's no MacGuffin to get things started. There's no danger. You know what I mean? Like there's always got to be something that the character is trying to fend off, fit into, protect. It's not just going to be, hey, Omega learned how to shoot her wrist gauntlet today in the episode.
But I mean, if she's with somebody else, then she's learning, and obviously she's going about her life, which is still which in the Star Wars universe is constantly filled with danger, regardless of what you're doing. It seems like even if you're a fucking shopkeeper, it doesn't matter. Like somebody's trying to kill you, or there's violence happening around you. Like there's always something like that happening. But I don't know. I just, I like the characters of the Bad Batch, and I would like to see them like not tied down to the kid.
Well, that's fair
just
point.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're a fucking idiot. I mean, I'd tell you if you're an idiot, but I personally don't see them separating quite yet like Din and Grogu did. I mean, that's something to think about too. I mean, because essentially the whole Din and Grogu thing is being mirrored with Bad Batch and Omega, and they did make a conscious choice to essentially break that storyline, right? Like that's over. When Mando S3 comes around, I'll be very interesting to see if they do anything with Grogu in the immediate future, or if they just truly let him ride off into the sunset with Luke.
I mean,
I think it's going to help them. I think it'll help them all this time off. The 2 years off is definitely going to help them move past Grogu if they want to, because by that time we'll have Book of Boba, we'll probably have Kenobi, Andor. We're not going to be so hard up on what about Grogu was such a main part of the Mando. What are they going to do? I mean, we probably won't give two shits. We'll think about him, but the Grogu craze will be fairly dead at that point in time.
Even in season 2 of Mando, though, like he kind of just became like a background character,
right?
Like, I mean, did cute shit.
While the big picture, we can compare the two. Omega is very different than Grogu. I mean, she can speak,
she's a more
active
interact. Participant.
Yeah, I mean, she's not a baby, right? She's not just concerned about eating macaroons and vomiting in spaceships. And Din Djarin's starship, thank you.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Razor Crest.
Razor Crest. No, everything is
their name
matter now,
and
starship.
That thing doesn't even exist anymore. It's literally in pieces.
It's like Han Solo spaceship or starship, right? They got to be starships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freighter, cruiser, whatever you want to call it.
Let's get out of Bad Batch land. That was a deep dive. I like it though. I mean, that just goes to show you that Bad Batch is doing what we want it to do. It's causing a lot of fun speculation, a lot of back and forth, some predictions here or there. So here we go. Yeah, no, 1-6, I'm with you too. And I was saying this last year because Nick was like, yeah, fuck Grogu. Who cares if he ever comes back? I mean, they made Grogu too much of a Star Wars god to just have him ride off in the sunset. Like, I do think he will be addressed at some point again, but I do not think Grogu is going to be a main focus early on in Mando S3.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nick, I just threw this one up today, and it could be a know-nothing, but we know Hayden Christensen is returning to Star Wars in the Kenobi series. That is a fact that's confirmed. What we don't know, and me and this guy, we've speculated on it. What we don't know is he going to play Vader? Is he going to play flashback Anakin? Or is he going to play both?
Yeah.
If I were a betting man, I'd say for sure he's probably going to don the costume. I mean, he's done it before. I think they gave him some stilts, so he was the exact size. And why not? I mean, even if I was a badass actor, I would still want to be in that armor, even though no one could see my face. And I think he said as much back on Revenge of the Sith when George was like, do you really want to put all this shit on and sit on set in this thing? He's like, fuck yeah, I do. I'm going to be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So like I said, we don't know. I mean, I think a lot of us we're pretty fucking confident that we're also going to see flashback Anakin.
Yeah.
So maybe this image will do something for you today, but some creeps out there, some of the paparazzis.
So weird, dude.
Snap the shot of Hayden. I'm going to have to click on it because it's only, for some reason, Reddit doesn't render full images anymore. But let me make a point. First and foremost, and if you are a paparazzi, I get you got to do what you got to do to make money, but it's just scummy. Like, you can see he's got his poor little kid, probably, I think a little girl with him. He probably just went to pick up some fucking shoes, and you got people snapping at him. But I'm a scumbag for sharing it. But either way, the important thing here is if you look at Hayden, he's clearly hit the gym, okay? I mean, he's got some chest going on. There's some abs coming out there. And if you look under his hat, especially in the second picture, his hair is definitely growing. So this has led people to say, well, shit, if he's bulking up and growing his hair, this is guaranteed that we're going to get Clone Wars General Skywalker. And I'm inclined to believe it. I think we're going to get it anyway, even without this creepy shot of Mr. Christensen, right? I mean,
yeah.
You don't bring back Hayden just to stick him in a Vader costume. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, we've always said that. Yeah.
But to me, I think this is a great sign that, yes, we're also going to see Hayden in his Anakin Skywalker garb again, preferably, late stage Clone Wars. And I was thinking, I may have even seen it in Reddit, so I don't want to fully steal the idea. But what if, and Nick, you may have already said this, or you at least did for Book of Boba. But what if every episode of Kenobi either starts or has a flashback with Obi-Wan reflecting on his good times with Anakin?
Yeah,
so we get every episode like a positive memory that in the present would just be a great juxtaposition with how shitty their relationship has become. Like Kenobi, just every episode either hears something about Vader, senses something about Vader or his former Padawan, and he reflects on that real quick, and we get like a 20-30 second scene with the generals. How great
I think
would that
would
be?
be a fantastic way to handle it.
Just being,
because if you think
just
about
being
it,
bros. Like I think all these flashbacks, it's going to be, he was a cunning warrior, my friend. It's going to be that stuff. Like what we saw in the Clone Wars, Anakin razzing him all the time, and Obi-Wan like, oh, Anakin, you're so crazy. Like true bro type of moment, true hero type of bro moments. And then we go back to the present time and you see poor Kenobi, in his hovel, living in the desert, looking like shit, feeling like shit because he failed. And I think that'd be a great way to deliver this story.
If any series needs flashbacks, it's this one. Because if we're functioning under the idea that Kenobi never leaves Tatooine, which I think we are.
I am.
Like, what the fuck else is he gonna do? Like, what is every episode gonna be him going to fucking Mos Eisley Cantina, having a drink and sitting down and just bullshitting? Like, something has to happen to him, or something has to happen with him and his character to make this show interesting. And I mean, just to comment on the pictures real quick, like these pictures, like the hair obviously is a little bit of something because it's longer and stuff like that. But also, just if we think about, like, has Hayden Christensen been in the cultural spotlight within the last 5 years? No. Nobody knew what he looked like before this. I mean, to me, because we don't have like a comparison picture to where we're looking at him like, oh, look at him fucking a year ago and he's like fat and overweight and he's got short hair, and then look at him now and he's like slimmed down, toned up a little bit, and his hair's longer. Like, you have no reason to say that. I'd like, say he looks like this.
The most recent
Star Wars
we would have gotten him would have been Celebration 2019, and I believe he was slimmer and definitely shorter hair, but that's 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, it's almost 2.5 years ago. So like, this could just, like, I mean, granted, yes, we know he's going to be in the show, and like he's likely like in shape because he's in the show, but you also figure like he is a young adult. Like, I mean, he's like a 30-something-year-old man, and you and I go to the gym and we're not in fucking movies. Like, I don't know.
See, I don't think he's that young. I think he's closer to me than you.
Yeah, no,
Or
he
am I
is.
wrong?
I mean, like, he's definitely
Hey, either way,
more-
like these people say on Reddit, what a mannequin, or even better, living up to the Swole Walker legacy.
It's like he doesn't like, but then to me, like he doesn't look that big though. But I don't know. Like he's 40, so he was born in 81.
No, I mean he's definitely got a little chest bulge going there, and I think you can see some abs popping out. I mean he could very easily don the Anakin. Trevor's saying there have been pics where he was pretty thin looking. But he definitely, I mean, he would look like an even better version of Clone Wars Anakin at this point in time, because I actually went back and looked at some of his rot shots, and he still was pretty baby-faced, and I wouldn't say even as swole as he is here. So yeah, maybe he is coming back as the general, and he's going to have the pauldrons on the top and the maroon pants and all that jazz.
I mean, like that's a foregone conclusion that we're going to see like actual Anakin Skywalker.
He's a sexy-looking guy. I mean, it really.
He's very attractive.
Just think about that. Here's a good-looking man in Hollywood who had a Golden Globe nom before Star Wars, and then his career evaporated.
Yeah, I mean, literally
think about that.
Disappeared into thin air.
Good-looking.
I mean,
was a proven actor. Did 2 Star Wars movies, and outside of Jumper, hasn't done a major theatrical release since.
Yeah,
what a shame! What a fucking shame!
Crazy. No, I mean, we've talked about.
Do you
this
think
a
he
lot,
has George Lucas's face on a dartboard at home?
Maybe. I mean, he probably, like, my question was going to be, do you think that he's watched any of the Clone Wars, and do you think he watches the Clone Wars in anger and being like, why the fuck play that guy?
Secretly, I would love to envision Hayden sitting in his house in his underwear, crying and yelling at the Clone Wars episodes, like, why, George, why couldn't you give me this script? Why couldn't you give me these plot lines? Damn you, Lucas! And then he eats some ice cream. Yeah, totally,
dude. It's like After seeing what the scripts and the performance came out for in ROTS and AOTC, and then seeing literally Hayden, like, I mean, Anakin's awesome arc in Clone Wars, you have to be like, fuck, man, what the fuck did I do wrong? Did you hate me? Like, I would be really upset. And
he's the only main. He is the only main to have their career just dirt napped.
Yeah, literally just dead. Evaporated.
He got one shot after, and some people laugh at Looper. It wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible.
Jumper, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jumper. Looper is everyone's favorite director's movie. Sorry. Watch out.
Yeah.
Here come the tomatoes. He mentioned something. Rian Johnson, die.
I liked it. I thought it was fun, and is it like a fucking 8.5 out of 10 fucking award movie?
It's
no,
good enough.
But it's like a fun little sci-fi.
Yeah, you got some Sammy J's in it, right? He's a bad guy. You got that
Samuel
one
Jackson's
dude's in it.
So you get to reunite those two.
Right.
He was working with his girlfriend at the time, Rachel Bilson. I think it was based off of novels.
I think isn't that his baby's mama? Like, I believe. I don't know if they're still together. I don't know if they're still together, but I think that might be. So. I'm just pulling shit out of my ass at this point in time.
Yeah, I think
I'm all for it, man. I want Hayden to have a legit redemption experience with Kenobi. So I think it's a foregone conclusion. This paparazzi shot or not, we're gonna be seeing Hayden outside of the armor. And I just hope he really gets that himself. Like, he feels like finally I'm able to honor this character in a light that people are going to remember and not want to vomit.
Dude, I what I want to see too is, like, I hope they have some original stuff if they have flashbacks, like stuff that we haven't seen
all original,
before.
Nick. I don't want to see any canned conversations from Revenge of the Sith. Like, it all has to be new.
I want to see at least one scene that they remake in live action from Clone Wars. Like, okay. I think that would be cool.
Well, I mean, a great one would be season 7 on that bridge where, Kenobi's pinned down and he's like, oh shit, what should we do?
That was the exact scene that I was thinking
Anakin just
about
runs
too.
in like, hey, pussy, I'll take care of it for you. And he's like, wing, wing, wing. He just stands there like Luke did against the First Order. He's like, hey, droids, eat my dick. And then he kills everybody. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
and the whole time,
thought
Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, Anakin, there he goes, that crazy guy."
Yeah, I mean, I think that like a mix of original content that we've never seen, and then like
I'm
maybe
down with
sprinkle
that.
in a couple of really good Clone
I'm
Wars
down with
scenes.
that.
Would
But
be
yeah,
awesome.
all the scenes have to be positive bro love between the two, because like I said, I think they could really use those moments to then juxtapose to Kenobi's present, where he's probably in the most depressed state a Force user could ever be in. He personally feels like he failed the galaxy. His pupil became Darth Vader. All right. I would assume he knows this fact at this point in time, 10 years after the duel. So he's probably feeling pretty bad about himself. So much so, he develops PTSD a few years down the road and can't even relate the true story of Anakin Skywalker to his own fucking son. Okay? Because I just busted out New Hope this weekend on the big screen. I was feeling like, you know what? It's been a while since I've watched some Star Wars on the big screen. And as much as I love the hovel scene, because that's really the only backstory you ever get in Star Wars about Luke's dad. It's really it. Yep. It's the whole time Kenobi's just fucking, he's just making shit up. He's just fucking making shit up. Like, he was so fucked up that he couldn't even tell Anakin's own son the truth at that point in time. Yeah. So
imagine how hard that was. Like, yeah, I was his master, and now he is the scourge of the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. So he fucked up. Man. And Dave Filoni told us as much. He's like, no, you know, Kenobi, Qui-Gon dying and Kenobi taking over a brother figure is ultimately what fucked everything up. So blame Qui-Gon and blame Maul for killing Qui-Gon.
Blame Maul,
but also put a lot of blame on Kenobi for treating him like a brother instead of a son, which, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. We love the Mando. We're going to love Book of Boba Fett. But when we're talking core Star Wars, Kenobis, Skywalkers, to me, that's life. And I just think Chow and team, Hayden, Ewan and his new little baby. Look at Ewan spitting out kids close to his 50s, or he may be in his 50s. Good for him. He has some very strong sperm. But I think Kenobi could be life-changing. It's going to be like going to church. To me, it's almost going to be... I'm hoping it's going to be like the Luke Skywalker arrival on a weekly basis, where I'm sitting there in a pool of my own man tears over a science fiction program. Okay, that's what I want.
No, yeah. I mean, it's got more potential than anything. Like, the only thing that was close to it was the Solo movie, but the thing that really separates those two is you have the original actor back. Like, you have, totally. You couldn't make a Solo prequel movie with Harrison Ford. It just wasn't going to happen. He's too old.
Well, I mean, technically,
no way.
You can't make a Kenobi movie either, because in 8 years, Kenobi, he goes from a strapping, middle-aged man to someone that looks like they've smoked meth every day for the past 8 years, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, you still have there is a bit of suspension of disbelief that needs to happen in terms of that timeline, but like, you can, like, the fact that it's the same actor just brings it to a different level. Like, it's just it's a different type of experience than what you got.
Yeah,
with
they
Solo,
lucked out with Kenobi, because they're like, hey, we're going back in the prequels. Obviously we can't use Sir Alec. He was I think deceased by that time, anyways. So they were able to reboot Kenobi as Ewan McGregor, where that's much harder to do with Han Solo and Harrison still being around. Although they're trying to kill Ford. I mean, again, he's been hurt on set doing stunts. Like, I asked Stunt Buddy, I was like, okay, so who do you blame here, the producers or the stunt team? And he's like, listen, man, he's just old as fuck. He was probably throwing a simple punch and threw his fucking shoulder out. It's like, he's 81 or whatever. Like, he shouldn't be doing that shit. He's like, on Star Wars, they killed him too. And he's right. So,
yeah, no, dude. I mean, Harrison Ford is 78. Like, you don't need to be doing anything. Like, why are you, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, if you watch Indy 4, like, they let him do stuff.
It's
like,
crazy.
When it was like relatively like low movement fights, it was actually,
you know what it is,
doing
Nick? Here's my guess. I think it's because, Harrison's on record saying he loves Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He's on record saying more or less he fucking hates Han Solo.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the people are like, Harrison, you don't have to do this shit, man. We could throw a double in. He's like, fuck you. I'm Indiana Jones.
I'm fucking Indiana Jones.
I am Indiana Jones. So I'm shooting these close-up fight scenes so you can see me throwing the punch. Hell, he was probably just doing like shadow punches. He's like, and just fucking ripped the thing out of the socket because he's almost dead. Right?
It's weird to me though that like if that was the case, that this motherfucker could like throw a punch and throw a shoulder out, but when he crashes airplanes every year, he's totally fine.
That is funny. Like, that is funny. Yeah, he can crash flying machines and walk away. Yeah, sometimes like saving other people. Yet on a movie set, both times he's returned to play a famous character of his, he's almost been killed.
Yeah, this dude nosedives onto golf courses and just gets up and walks away. But he can't throw a punch on a set. Did you ever hear?
He had another good clip where he was at like a major airport and just wasn't listening to air traffic control. Like he cut right across a runway that like a 737 was coming down. And he's like, "Oh my God, my bad. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to go yet." You're like,
because
he's 420 friendly. I mean, Harrison Ford is 420 friendly.
Yeah, no, he's stoned on those planes. So when he crashes, his body's just like
it's super loose. Yeah, it's
yeah. Like he's in Zen zone, so like he hits the ground and it's like nothing even happens. Yeah, he just steps out of the plane. He's like, "Whoa, what?"
He's in like a permanent Groot tree ball of protection because you're right. Like he's so high that his body's so relaxed that it can't tense up and break itself. So,
yeah. Whereas like he's on set and he's throwing these punches and he's got like adrenaline going and like he throws and then boom, he's just like, "Oh, my shoulder! I fucked it up."
I thought it was just funny when I read that.
Just like whenever he's filming a fight scene, just fucking give him an edible, let him get high, and then he'll be fine.
He's good. Just let the old guy, just give him his hat and his shirt that he can't even button up. Like I love that he still is not buttoning up the indie shirt fully. Like he's letting his old. I mean, Harrison now, and I love the guy. I feel bad kind of making fun of him, but he's got like gorilla tits now, right? Like he looks like he's got like a silverback hair. They're that hairy and kind of saggy, just like hanging out of his soiled indie shirt that's half tucked in. He's got like an old man belly hanging out. God bless him. I mean, it's the same thing with Vin Diesel and Dom. Harrison, keep going, bro. Keep taking those checks.
Harrison's 25 years older than Vin Diesel.
I'll tell you what, man.
If someone 78, you can let it go.
If someone waved millions of dollars at me and said, "Hey, you want to play this character you definitely shouldn't play anymore?" I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I do. Let's go."
Yeah, exactly.
Indy in a wheelchair. I don't give a shit. Indy on crutches. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, according to Devin, Harrison crashed right next to his house.
Says that the golf course that he crashed onto is right like a few feet away from his house.
I love it. I love it.
Dude, I would have ran outside Devin and be like, "Dude, are you okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Can I get your autograph?"
Hey, Harrison, get your shit together, pal. The airport's that way.
Yeah, it's like you landed on the wrong strip. You landed on the fairway, not the
Well,
the fucking,
son, it looks straight to me.
Oh man.
All right,
I love fucking Harrison.
Hayden, looking good, pal. Can't wait to see what you do in Kenobi because I really do think it could be something extremely special in the Star Wars universe.
Definitely.
Okay.
This next piece here is just a quick little update on the next film that will be coming out for Star Wars, and that is Star Wars Rogue Squadron. They've signed, I assume is going to be the first of many screenwriters on this. So they signed Matthew Robinson as the screenwriter for Rogue Squadron. And if you are sitting here and you're like, Matthew Robinson, do I know him? You probably don't. Matthew Robinson has a very thin resume on his IMDb page. That meaning that the only thing that you probably know that he's written is The Invention of Lying, which was a movie that came out in 2009 with Ricky Gervais, where the plot was everybody in the world, like this was some sort of alternate universe where everybody in the world just by default told the truth, and Ricky Gervais, his character essentially was the first person to ever lie. So like anything that he said, people believed. And like I think in the movie, like he eventually invented religion by doing that. because like somebody asked him,
Got
like
ya.
somebody was dying, and somebody asked him like, what happens after you die? And he says, oh, you go up to this great place where everybody's happy all the time. And then boom, he invented religion. So that was the only thing that you would ever know that this kid has done. Kid, I say he was born in 1978. But he's going to be the screenwriter for Rogue Squadron as of right now. And then other stuff that he's working on currently, he's writing the Little Shop of Horrors screenplay, so the Little Shop of Horrors reboot, and he's also writing the screenplay for the sequel to Edge of Tomorrow, which was the Tom Cruise movie.
Is that okay? Because Emily Blunt was just on Stern,
yeah,
and she's like, listen, you know, Tom, everyone involved, we totally want to do this movie, but in this new landscape that is Hollywood post-pandemic, and you don't know if you can actually make, you know, $250 million budget movies these days. She's like, I don't think we could ever do a sequel to Edge of Tomorrow.
I think
I would love it. I mean, that's one of my most favorite original IPs. I mean, as goofy as Tom is with the Scientology, I think he's a fucking pimp. I mean, Tom Cruise sells tickets, period. I don't care what anyone says. I go to any fucking Mission Impossible. And, you know, I love this movie, but she says, like, listen, we've talked about it, but she's like, I just don't know if studios will be willing to fork out that type of money anymore for movies like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, from what I've heard, they've kicked around the idea of doing a sequel to this for a while. Like even after the original one got, because it like Edge of Tomorrow 1 had a relatively low box office domestically, but it did incredibly well internationally. And then like its like home release and stuff like that was huge too. So it really did follow up really well. But yeah, I mean, that was the problem. The other problem is the director is Doug Liman, and if you know anything about his history in filmmaking, like, one, people really hate to work with him, and two, he apparently his sets are super chaotic. Like there will be like he will be doing rewrites for the shit that you're reading as you're doing it. And like,
it kind of sounds like Lord Miller and why they got removed from Solo, because they'd be like, all right, take 50, do it this way, and everyone's like, yeah, we're supposed to film the mud pit scene in a day, and it's 2 weeks later, and we're still, you know, trying different takes on the same scene.
Like he does good movies, like. He made Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He made the first Bourne movie. But the problem is...
Just to be clear,
like
Nick is not talking about the guy that we're talking about that's tied to Rogue Squadron. We're on a completely different tangent right now.
Yeah, no, this is a director. Like, this dude makes good movies, but like he never gets given the sequel.
Got you. Okay.
So like he didn't make any of the sequels to it. But yeah, Matthew Robinson is the guy who's writing Rogue Squadron. So it's really hard to give you any sort of information about what the style of this movie may be, because he doesn't have any,
you know what?
Like a lot of completed
I'll
work.
look at it this way. I mean, this is good and bad. Good because we don't have a lot of things from Matthew Robinson to kind of start forming in our head what he may be able to produce. Bad because we don't have a lot of things from Matthew Robinson, so we don't. He doesn't really have a track record of hits or misses.
Yeah.
So there's potential that this could be his breakout, but you know, Nick's telling me he's born in 78, so he's about my age. He's probably been working in Hollywood for 10, 15, maybe 20 years at this point, and he's just now, I mean, I know we're kind of making it seem little. I mean, he is getting to screenwrite a fucking Star Wars movie. That's a pretty big ask. Yeah. But it is curious that he doesn't have a lot of credits. So but hey, I'll tell you right now, this is how Hollywood works. I mean, if he's in with Patty from another project or a producer of this movie, that's how this stuff happens. You guys listen to Vincent Jenkins on this show. It's once you get on a set and you're not a fuck off, the people you meet, if they like you, you will be pulled through their career, enhancing your own career along the way. I mean, it happens in stunts. Like there's a stunt mafia where if one guy gets on a project, they'll bring in other guys and girls. It's the same way with directors. You know, Rian Johnson always uses the same production team. J.J. Abrams always uses the same production team. So making movies, a lot of times it starts to become who you know and who you want to work with. And I
actually liken Matthew Robinson's career to Rian Johnson's, because if you look at
now you're really going to get people to run away from Rogue Squadron.
Well, because if you look at like what Rian did pre TLJ, like his big thing was Looper,
and
which
Brick,
was 2012.
Right? Brick was his first movie, and then you got Looper. Yeah,
and then that was it. Like that was all he had done. I mean, he did 3 episodes of Breaking Bad. And then that was really, like, you go look at it, it's all like shorts that he probably did when he was in film school and stuff like that. So like this guy literally, he did 2 movies, Brick, which was like, you know, an indie flick, and then Looper, which was a relatively successful sci-fi movie. And then after that, he made Star Wars. Like, and, you know, obviously.
And then after that, he made himself his own little $1 billion franchise, which I think they just started filming Knives Out 2 this week. So.
They did, yeah. Like Knives Out is really like his next fucking huge thing. So, I mean, take that as you may, but like it seems like the new, like they're not afraid to take a risk on, I don't want to say unproven, but people who haven't like, you know, don't have a resume that's super long,
and I'm okay with that. Like I said, sometimes that's a great dice roll, but other times, you know, you are kind of walking on thin ice when you give something this big to someone that is as unproven as this Matthew Robinson.
Yeah. Who
knows? I mean, I still have. I'm feeling nothing really for Rogue Squadron yet. I know it's not that early. I mean, was this 23? You're thinking?
I think it's supposed to be 20. I put it as 18 months out because I believe they said it was supposed to be in like December 2023. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know. I'm neutral on Rogue Squadron right now. I don't have any feelings, positive or negative. I'm someone I need some more details and some visuals, right? Like this stuff, I mean, we could sit here and say all sorts of nasty shit about Matthew Robinson and Patty and this, that, and the other thing, but there's just so little to go on with this movie outside of the title. If they do pay off on it, it is Star Wars Top Gun, then I don't see how it can't be fantastic. But if it starts to get into, you know, other type of stuff, who knows where it could go, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited for it because this is going to be another movie like Solo, like Rogue One, where you're likely not going to be getting into the Force angle of things. You know, this is going to be purely based off of like the fighter pilots and like focusing on those people.
You would think it's going to be more Rogue One than Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yes, exactly. So I'm excited for it in that fashion.
Like, I'm excited for it. It's a fucking Star Wars movie for the first time since what? 2019? Yeah. I mean, Christ, think about that.
So it's pegged for right now. It's December 22nd, 2023 is the idea.
I mean, Disney has done a great job at making us all forget that we should be watching a Star Wars movie this December. Or hell, this May, where we might have already seen it, and this was going to be Kenobi. And then there was going to be more after that. But no, we got to wait many more years, 2023 Rogue Squadron. We'll see. I'll start getting a little more nuanced with my predictions on this once we actually get something to latch onto. At this point, directors, writers, whatever, there's really nothing to go off of.
It would be different if they hired a writer that had a lot more shit under his belt. Like if you hired somebody who had like, you know,
we'll say Chris Terrio, who has worked on Star Wars. I'd probably be like, yuck, because he was involved in the Rise of Skywalker and made some of those narrative choices.
Yeah, but even if it was like somebody like, you know, like a famous screenwriter, and I don't know any of them because I don't know shit like that in you know, in movie history, but like a guy who had written like 3 or 4
Seth Rogen
decent action movies, written some sci-fi stuff, then you could speculate on like, oh well, based off of these movies, maybe it'll be a little bit like this, but who fuck knows?
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of why I'm digging the Matthew Robinson not really having any work. I mean, it truly is going to be a hit or miss, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Got some story time for you, Nick, and anyone else who cares to listen. If you're a fan, you know what story time means. It's time for me to recap the latest issue of the current Star Wars comic books run. In these days, these are some highly exciting little issues to read, and that's because all of the proper Star Wars comic books, Darth Vader, Star Wars, Aphra, Bounty Hunters, all of them are now crossing over into this War of the Bounty Hunters miniseries that I've been going on about for the past few weeks. So last week, we've got the latest Darth Vader issue, is issue 13. And not only did it infuse some new canon in between the ESB and ROTJ eras, but it also progressed or showed a little bit more light on what's happening in the War of the Bounty Hunters run. All right, so the biggest takeaway from Darth Vader 13, again, spoilers if you haven't read yet, but I don't think any of us can read here that listen to the Star Wars Time show, so I'm safe. But the biggest thing here, and it's kind of a big reveal, who knows where it's going to go, but it's revealed that one of Palpatine's top prequel era aides conspired against him and Darth Vader before the events of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And I'll reveal who that was towards the end. But it's a character I've actually talked about in a recent Vader recap as they kind of made their reappearance in the original trilogy era from the prequel era. But it's a pretty big surprise, and it's one that obviously is going to be resolved in the comics, and it's not going to have any sort of major impact on what we already know. Because a lot of this stuff, again, is feeding into content we know how it ends up. I mean, we know Han Solo ends up with Jabba the Hutt thanks to Boba Fett. We're just seeing a different kind of roundabout story about how he actually got him there. But anyways, so this issue opens up, Vader and Ochi, they're boys now. And they're at Boku the Hutt's, just like last time I recapped Vader 12. That's where they were at. Boku the Hutt, he's the Hutt that, looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger if he was a Hutt. I found it interesting that Hutts don't have to be just big, fat pieces of shit. They actually can give themselves some musculature on their abs, pecs, and arms. But anyways, they're with Boku the Hutt trying to get a lead on the Han Solo thing because, just to remind you, remember, at this point in time, every major faction in the galaxy is concerned with Han, fucking Solo, and Carbonite.
Yep.
And everyone has their own reasons. Vader's reason, therefore the Empire's reason, is he knows the more friends of Luke's he kills, the weaker Luke becomes. Because he's still, like, again, we still get flashbacks where he's having an inner monologue about his duel with his son and realizing that his son is definitely powerful. But the only great things his son has done up until this point, he was aided by his friends. So to Vader, he feels his son's greatest weakness is his friendships. So in his demented head, he feels like if he can take out Luke's friends, he can easily take out Luke and either bring him to his side or take him out in general. We also learn at this point in time that Vader is well aware that the Emperor is starting to turn his gaze to young Skywalker. So Vader's kind of got two fronts of motivation here. He wants to weaken his son by killing his friends, but he also wants to make sure he gets young Skywalker before Palpatine does. So anyways, that's why they're hunting down Han. They learned from Boku the Hutt that, like, oh yeah, he was last on Nar Shaddaa, but you might as well piss that lead away. He's moved on. But Vader's like, whoa, why are all these hunters, these droid hunters, going to this planet in Hutt space? And that's where Boku's like, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Go check it out. But you're going to have to come with us in my space barge because it is Hutt space. And if they see your Imperial shuttle, they'll try to shoot you down. So whatever. So that's how Vader and the Hutts are kind of linked up. So they take him to this planet where the Droid Crush Pirates of Bastoon, a gaggle of robots that Vader fought when he was half a Vader earlier in this run. They're the ones there, and they're the ones trying to find a lead on Solo, but they have brought a new robotic friend this time. and it is none other than IG-88. So we get a little IG-88 action. So in the War of the Bounty Hunter run now with its crossovers, we've had Forlom, Zuckuss, Dangar, Valance, Boba. All right. Now IG-88 gets added to the mix. So I believe that takes care of the Dirty Dozen outside of Bosk at this point in time. But either way, the Droid Crush pirates have some bigger oil tank balls at this point in time because they have IG-88, and they're like, haha, Vader, whatever, you're not going to be able to take out this guy. And of course, Vader, with one arm and his lightsaber, is deflecting every bolt that IG can throw at him. But IG pulls out this little remote, Nick, and he hits some buttons, and we learn that these buttons can control Vader's suit. So just as Vader's about to dismember this little cocksucker, IG-88 takes control of Vader and is about ready to have Vader slice off his own head with his own lightsaber. Nice. But because IG-88 is a little cocky, for some reason, he starts boasting to Vader like, ah, ha, ha, you can't do anything because I have this remote. So what does Vader do? He goes, you idiot. I have the Force. Vader takes the remote with the Force, takes over IG-88's programming, and immediately proceeds to have him point his rifle in his face and blow his head off. It's like, yeah, I love Vader. I love the guy. Like, he's like, oh, you're going to try to get me to cut my own head off? Well, here you go. Boom. So that's that. And then at the same time, Boku's sail barge, which is in the sky, it's like a space barge, but it still looks like a barge. I guess the Hutts like barges. He opens fire on everybody, basically directly on top of Vader. So Vader, being Vader, again, casually lifts up his lightsaber and uses the Force to deflect an orbital bombardment. All right? After this...
Okay.
Literally, imagine a fairly large vessel firing down at ground forces and Vader just blocking it all nonchalantly, like, hey, whatever, I'm fucking Darth Vader. The only Force user more powerful than me at this point in time is Palpatine, because that guy is nuts. So Vader and Ochi, they return to Boku and they're like, hey, what the fuck was that all about? You know, Boku, he's a Hutt, so he's trying to work his way out of it. And luckily for them, though, they find more information on the sail barge that kind of, takes Vader's ire off of Boku. I was quite impressed that Vader just didn't come back to Boku's ship and stab him right in the chest for his little maneuver. Yeah. But it's because they learned on the ship, Nick. Him and Ochi learned through some sort of computer recording that Crimson Dawn has returned, right? We know this now through the other War of the Bounty comics, the other crossovers. Yep. And that's where we kind of leave Vader. But the issue ends with kind of a little epilogue. And we see IG-88 obviously repaired his head. He's back on his ship, and he's flying to Coruscant to go meet whoever hired him to fuck with Vader on this planet. Because I forgot to mention, Vader and Ochi were also, they had their Imperial shuttle crashed remotely. And what is explained in the comics is that slicing Imperial systems is essentially impossible unless someone knows how things work. Okay, like you can't just hack an Imperial shuttle. You can't just hack Darth Vader's armor unless you have some insider information. All right, so IG-88, we see him land on Coruscant. He's talking to the person that gave him the job. He's like, hey, you told me that I would be able to fuck him up with that remote. I'd be able to, take control of his suit. I'd be able to kill Vader. At this point in time, IG is like, fuck you. Vader's unstoppable. Blow me. And he's talking to a hooded figure. And I'm like, holy shit. Sidious is already trying to fuck with Vader again. He's already hiring, some of the supreme bounty hunters to mess with Vader. But then you flip to the last page and you see the front, and it is revealed. Sorry, I got to turn off my air conditioning real quick. It is revealed that IG-88's source is none other than Sly Moore. All right? Slymore is the bald Umbaran that sits up in the Chancellor's little podium thing in the Senate chambers with Masamita. So she's essentially like, vice president or COO. I think it goes Palpatine, Masamita, Slymore, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking in terms of how he ranks his aides.
Yeah.
So Slymore, who has been featured in this Darth Vader comic book run before in trying to kill Vader with the droid crush pirates and all this other shit, all along is working, and I'm hoping to find out more in issue 14, but there's some sort of secret society that she is a part of. They all wear like these purplish dark hoods. They're all different aliens. There was a Trans-Doshan, there was a Twi'lek, there's Slymore, who's an Umbaran. But apparently there's this secret society that is hell-bent on taking out Vader and Palpatine. And what she says is like, listen, yeah, like one-on-one, Vader's going to kick our ass. But strength in numbers and with our knowledge, we will be able to defeat them, meaning Vader and Sidious. So like I said at the onset, the big canon takeaway was that one of Palpatine's top aides, Slymore, for some time has been conspiring against Vader and Palpatine to overthrow them. Yeah. So I don't know if they're going for their own power grab, or if, like the rest of the galaxy at this point in time, they realize that, turning full control over to two Sith Lords probably wasn't a good idea. But people as close as that to Palpatine were going to these lengths. I mean, this isn't just like passing information. She's stealing Vader's fucking suit remote, for Christ's sake, to try and undermine what Palpatine and Vader are doing with the Empire. And that's that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it's interesting, but it's weird to me that you would have somebody that's in that level of power that essentially wants the same, in essence, wants the same thing as the rebellion, like in the overthrow of the Empire, or at least the overthrow of the two main people in the Empire, but doesn't choose to work with the rebels. Like,
yeah, so here's her line. I kind of summarized her line. I mean, I don't have the direct quote from the comment or the comic, but Moore says, we will be more powerful than they could ever imagine.
Okay, meaning so they want to take over the Empire for themselves.
Yeah, this exactly. Yeah, they're not trying to be good guys and save the day. It's just they've realized, like, like these two guys together and even alone in some cases are nearly unbeatable. But she's saying if we keep working them over as a group, we can definitely take them out one by one. So there is this society that was out there led by Slymore that was looking to take over Palpatine's little prize.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like these comics. I mean, it's not ground shattering. It's not going to change future canon, but it just gives us, little nuanced bits of narrative. Like, oh, that was interesting. Did I need to know it? No, but as a dork that likes Star Wars lore, I like those little kind of broad strokes on the canvas to just fill in even the little rinky-dink stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then I think this week I'll be getting War of the Bounty Hunter #2, so we'll be getting back to the meat of the action, which is typically told from Boba Fett's perspective. So
yes,
I'll be touching in with the alpha again shortly. But if you like these recaps, you can always get them on our YouTube channel, which you can find on StarWarsTime.net, or just search for Star Wars Time Show. I think these days will actually show up in SERPs, and you can find our YouTube channel that way. So if you're listening for the first time to this stupid live stream, please comment, like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't done that yet. I've been told that I need to do more call to actions. I actually just got a comment from an old Mandalorian season 2 breakdown that I'd like to read everyone, just to kind of give you an idea of why I suck and no one listens to my stuff. I actually kind of like this. Where'd it go? Where are my deleted? This is a good one. Delete. Damn it. I'm not going to find it. Oh, well. Basically, this guy's like, hey, Great content in this episode breakdown, but he's like, you talk about yourself too much and it ruins it. I said, hey. Yeah, I get it. There you go. Fair feedback. I'd have to rewatch the breakdown to see what I was saying, but I think it was more like me just doing what I do here and being a jerk
Tooting
off.
your horn.
Yeah, hey. I'm going to toot my horn until the fucking audience shows up that someone like me should get. How's that? So I'll shut the fuck up once I start getting, 100,000 views on my videos versus 100. All right? Sound good? Okay. All right, so there's your story time, and now it's for toy time. And this one we're going to talk about kind of chaps my ass a little bit. I know it definitely chaps 1/6 Shooter's ass. And I'm talking about this newly revealed Hot Toys chromed Mandalorian and Grogu deluxe set. Now, why am I pissed about this, you might ask? Because if you're looking on the live stream, it's a fucking fantastic looking set. They've got the correct thigh armor this time around. The armor's chromed out. You got Pedro's head sculpt again. You get the Darksaber, you get the Mandalorian spear, you get essentially the props Mando used during S2E2 when his speeder bike blows up and he has to walk back to town with Boba Fett's armor over his back. You get all that shit.
Yep.
The problem is, Nick, almost all of us already own full Beskar Mando.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not chromed. It doesn't come with the din head, and it doesn't come with the deluxe accessories I'm showing off now on the live stream, which is Boba Fett's acid wash armor, the blade, the spear, the chrome plated armor, and all the bullshit he fashioned from the crash speeder to carry said stuff into town. So, I mean, and Nick, here's the problem. The full Beskar Mando, for the most part, just started arriving to people maybe 2 to 3 months ago. And now they're coming out saying, oh, by the way, here's the better version of this figure. And you can pay us $375 for it now instead of us just selling an accessory pack for you assholes that jumped on the gun early and got the full Beskar version. No. Dude. People like me, people like Trevor, anyone that bought the original Mando and Grogu deluxe set in full Beskar, we now have a subpar version of the figure. I'll say it. It's subpar to this new one. It's subpar. The chrome looks great. All the accessories are fantastic. It's just something where you got to go like, really, Hot Toys? Really? and Trevor's the one that said it. He's the one who's like, why not just do an accessory pack? I mean, I would have spent $150 to get the chromed armor, the Boba Fett helmet and jetpack, the little sacks, the straps, the Darksaber, the spear, the din head, and the Grogu sack. I would have easily paid $150 for that. I don't think I can cough up $375 for this set just to get this version of Mando. And again, I'm giving Trevor credit at 1/6 Shooter. He's like, listen, this burns my ass too, but he believes the Mando Season 3 Hot Toys figure, which is bound to release, will have the chromed armor and probably a new din sculpt. So he's like, fuck it, I'll just wait. And I applaud him for that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm trying my damnedest right now. I have not pre-ordered this one.
So what is the likelihood of you being able to sell your old
Zero at this
Mando?
point. Zero.
Zero? Okay.
No, because
if you could fence that and then just get this new one, then hey,
No, the hardcore collectors, they're like me. They're like, fuck it. I mean, really, and I don't get too upset, but the leg armor truly is not what he was wearing in Season 2. So it's again, it's not even like the real
accurate representation.
The real full Beskar. So people aren't going to want that version unless it truly, they just stop it. Which, I mean, the one good thing about these figures, unlike a lot of 1/12 scale or other mass produced, these are not mass produced. Like we're talking with
Limited
Trevor, for
edition.
the most part, they'll fulfill pre-orders and get maybe a couple hundred extra for wait list and people trying to get lucky. So these do have limited supply. Maybe someone that wants, I got to have all the collection, kind of like I am. Maybe I could get rid of it that way. But it's just kind of like a ball kick for those of us that already got full Beskar Mando. This is the second time Hot Toys has done this to me. They did this with the Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, where they're like, hey, Jedi Knight Luke. I'm like, fuck yeah, I bought him, I get him. And it felt like 2 months after I got him, they're like, oh yeah, we got a new version, the deluxe version. He's got goggles and like a head wrap from the deleted scene from Jedi. I'm like, what the fuck? And he had the Endor poncho and just a great little smattering of accessories that would have made the figure bigger and better. But no, you would have to buy the whole new Barbie, and I passed. So I now have a subpar Jedi Knight Luke and a subpar full Beskar, or as we call him in Swago, Bam. All right, I know you don't play anymore, but his name has become Bam in the game. Beskar Armor Mando.
Nice.
But he's out there now. You can pre-order him. There is just a regular set and a deluxe. The deluxe, you miss out on all the good shit, so you'd be a fool just to buy the regular. And I think the deluxe is only like an extra $45. But he's pre-ordered now, and I believe releasing very soon, which means they truly just made new accessories, and they are putting them on the existing bodies they had for the original full Beskar Mando. Because a lot of these new releases, my friends, they're not coming out until late 2022. So, but he's out there, pre-order from Sideshow, $375 for deluxe, $330 for collector.
Nice.
Okay.
Last piece of toy news here before we get into the fan segment for this week, and there is another Lego piece releasing other than Boba Fett Starship, as we talked about earlier this week, and it is Moff Gideon's Imperial Light Cruiser from Mando Season 2. And yeah, I mean, Matt, you've been into the Lego building a lot recently with your little girl.
We've kind of fallen off that wagon after she just has no respect for the Lego. I mean, this is what kind of did me in, at least with building stuff with her. I was building her that she wanted, I got her the Winnie Pooh set for Easter. It was one of the limited editions, like VIP sets. And she's like, oh yeah, let's build it. And we're building it. And I'd set up on a table in between builds. And one day she's in there and she's, fucking doing gymnastics on furniture like a little asshole, which she knows she's not allowed to do. And she does like a handstand back into the table and knocks the whole fucking Winnie the Pooh house off, and it smashes.
Oh no.
And I am someone that if I have put work into something and it gets rebooted back to zero, I physically and mentally can't pick up the pieces and start again. The only time I can do it is when I know either my job's on the line or a grade's on the line. Like, let's say I was an idiot that forgot to save a Word document back in the day and I lost like a whole report. I would sit there and contemplate sticking ice picks through my skull, but I'd go back and do it because I know I had to, either for work or for school. But the Lego set, once I saw it all smashed to pieces and like it was no longer organized by bag, and so I could find the steps to fix it, I looked, I was like, well, the only way this is ever getting built is if your mother takes it on, because I will not rebuild this shit after you knocked it off being a little jerk off. So
I mean, with little kids, it's very difficult to have that.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm talking, I had like 6 bags completed, and this is like an 18+ rated set, and it was just obliterated. And I'm like, I am not starting back at page fucking 1. There is no way. No way.
Yeah.
There have been like video games, like a game breaking glitch, and it fucks my save, and you're like, oh yeah, you gotta go redo 2 hours. Nope, I sure as fuck don't. I'm just not going to finish this game. I can't handle that
for sure.
Are you able to get past that shit? Or are you like me, where your brain just shuts down and refuses to redo something that you've put hours into?
I think, I'm just so used to autosave at this point that it does kind of annoy me. Where I'll just stop playing for a few days, at least for a few days, or I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna play. But that was actually like a constant stress that I played with when I was playing Cyberpunk, because I knew they had that essentially game deleting bug in there where if your save file got too big, you were fucked.
Yeah.
And the game would just crash. And
oh, by the way,
delete all your
update
shit.
on Cyberpunk. They now say the game is working as intended 6 months after release. So kudos to CD Projekt Red.
I've finished it. I'm glad that I got it on PC because that was the best way to play it.
Yeah.
And like all of the little things that I encountered were very minor, and I would say none of them were like, there were very few even immersion breaking things that would happen after the first big patch release. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I think I said on the podcast where you weren't here when you were out, I played the ending 5 times. Because it's
just
one of
to
those
see
games
different versions.
Yeah, because it's one of the games where you can get. I think there's 8 different ways the game can end, depending on the choices you make at the end.
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
even too much effort for me. Here's another
So,
game.
Dude,
drop.
I liked it so much that I was like, I gotta see some of these other ones.
No, it is a good game. It's fucking shame that it's just such a turd out of the gate. But anyways, I can't redo stuff hours in, so that's kind of stalled the Lego building. I still haven't even finished the fucking Mos Eisley Cantina. I'm down to the last bag. It's just been, pandemic life, outside again, weather changes. You don't really want to be sitting inside cranking on Legos. But anyways, as Nick said, Gideon's Cruiser, it's a good looking set. I'm definitely considering this one. I like ships when they also double as play sets. That way I can pretend that my kid's going to play with it again, even though she's told me a few times now that she hates Star Wars. But this one's coming out, I think August 1st. You can order it $159.99, 1,336 pieces. You're getting 5 minifigs. You get a Moff. You get a Fennec. You get a Dark Trooper. That's a pretty slick looking minifig. You get the Dune for all you Dune lovers out there. And then you get Din and Grogu. I'm actually surprised they didn't include a Luke in this set. Or
Right?
Bo-Katan. It should have been Bo-Katan and Luke at least.
Yeah, I know. I would have added both of them in. I mean, like Fennec,
She was there.
I feel like,
Yeah, you remember it was Fennec, Cara, Bo, and Casca.
Yeah,
were like the
but
femme
I feel
fatales.
like, man, if I was gonna include, if I only had 5 slots, I would have flipped Fennec out for somebody else. Like I understand the Dark Trooper because that was a huge part of it. I understand like a lot of the other ones, but man, I would have flipped Fennec out for somebody else.
I would have flipped Cara Dune out just because even the minifig isn't that great. At least Fennec has a little helmet, and then you could have bring in the Mandos like Bo or Casca. They got helmets, but yeah, Cara's a pretty basic looking minifig. Nothing special there. I think they should have made her thicker too. The Cara Dune
more
Lego,
muscular.
Yeah, it should have reflected the actress better.
Yeah.
But there you go. I'll definitely be considering this set because they do come in handy sometimes on rainy weekends or when you don't feel like. I mean, these days I feel like I'm living in Texas again here in the Midwest. We're in the 90s. It's humid as fuck. It sucks.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's kind of transition into this week's version of the fan segment. We almost didn't have it going because I forgot to call your responses. But Nick took care of it, so let's just make sure Slack works these days. There we go. Browser window go away. Okay, so we didn't post a question, but everyone gets the idea at this point in time. We are just asking, hey, what was your favorite part of the most recent episode of The Bad Batch? In this case, it was the one with the Alpha and the Omega reveal. So take it away, Nick.
First up, Random Picks NJ says, seeing Cad Bane is always something awesome, but the character development of Fennec is great. Great for the Book of Boba. Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about that during the episode breakdown.
This is all by design. I mean, Fennec isn't showing up in Bad Batch for fun. This is Dave going, oh, hey, by the way, this is our opportunity to really flesh out this character who we barely featured in season 1 of the Mando, but then, gave her a much larger role in season 2 and beyond in Book of Boba.
Exactly. So good on you there. Next up, Carl P. Photography says, great episode and battle. I liked finding out who Fennec was working for. That was a pretty pivotal thing as well. Like knowing that there's essentially, I mean, we knew that there was going to be a division within the Kaminoans themselves, but to see it like play out in such an interesting fashion where they essentially hire two different bounty hunters. You hire one bounty hunter to go after the other bounty hunter. Honestly,
bounty. it was a perfect setup because I mean, while I could see the foreshadowing with Nala Se, I mean, I called that in episode 8. Big deal.
Yep.
Right. I've established that I'm a speculative genius.
Yes.
You didn't quite know in full how it would play out. So when you see Fennec show up, you're like, oh, well, here we go. It's literally a war of the bounty hunters trying to get their quarry. So when you learn at the very end that no, she wasn't there to take her back to Kamino, she was there to prevent her, this time at least. The first time Fennec was after Omega, let's not fuck around. Pretty sure she was there to take her back to Kamino. It wasn't until this second offering where Lama's like, you know what, it's time to open this up to more bounty hunters, that Nala's like, hey, you this time, how about you keep her safe? Yeah. And take out whoever you got to take out that's trying to fuck with her, which happened to be Tan Wee, ate a blaster bolt to the face. And then obviously we got the good battle with Cad Bane.
Yeah, definitely. So all good stuff there around Fennec. And then Lego Sky Guy says Fennec kicking Bane's ass. And I mean, really, like there were moments in that fight where Bane looked like he had the upper hand, but I think overall Fennec really did kind of give him a beat down. Like, wow, she was just more skilled in hand-to-hand combat where like Bane got off bigger hits.
Yeah, he had to rely on his tech ultimately. Like he even busted out. I mean, I don't know if he stole a gauntlet from a Mandalorian, but he even busted out a flamethrower. He had to use his rocket boosts again on his boots. I mean, there was a time he definitely knocks her the fuck out once. I mean, he got a clean knockout to where he could get away and put the pressure back on Omega. But ultimately, I think if this was a scored fight, Fennec probably would have won in decision, right? She would have gone to the judges. I think Cad might have taken the early rounds, but ultimately she won the fight overall.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think Omega's own resourcefulness is ultimately what allowed Fennec to technically get the win, because it's not like Fennec truly sent Omega back to the Bad Batch. She just kept Cad Bane tied up enough that little Omega could do her thing, get in that little escape pod, and then kind of throw herself Hail Mary style towards space. And luckily her bros and dad showed up to kind of catch her.
Yeah. I was thinking too at the end that like Toto might like go with Omega, because like you were seeing like she was poking him the whole time, like, do you really want to be here?
Yeah, but I mean,
maybe Toto will go, and then
he clearly suffers from battered droid syndrome, right? Like he all the abuse Cad has given him over the years, he just can't break himself from it. Even though he probably knows it's the right thing to do, but I mean, I did like even the opening where she works over Toto to kind of get her way. I mean, she's no fool.
She's a manipulative little girl, so works out in her favor, though. All right, next up, Old Tom Solo says the possibility that we may see Boba arrive in the series at some point. Yeah.
You can just take the possibility qualifier right out of there, Old Tom. It's happening. This is another opportunity for Filoni and his team to put the spotlight back on this character who has clearly had a massive resurgence thanks to the live action property of The Mandalorian and subsequently the Book of Boba. So any chance they can get to fill in more gaps of his history, they're going to take. And I mean, it's teed up. He's got a sister. Bounty hunters are after her. He probably doesn't know, like our prediction earlier, this is kind of, I think, what we're going to take to the bank, but we're going with Boba's going to be in on the mix. Fennec may come in to help again, Common Ground, but by the end of Common Ground, or maybe even parts of Devil's Deal, I think it'll be made clear to Boba that, hey, Omega is technically family. You probably shouldn't be trying to score a bounty on her. why don't you help us out? That's my take. But yeah, but Boba Fett will be in the Bad Batch, and I'm going to go as far as to say he's probably going to have the green, red, and yellow stylings on the armor at this point in time, just based on the fact that he did in the deleted scene of the Clone Wars of his duel with Cad Bane.
Yeah. Excited to see his entrance into the series for sure. All right, last one is from IG Toy Store. Says fight scene was on point when Cad gets knocked off and he doesn't just simply fly back like it was nothing. He curves his whole body over the ledge just to make it, which was just the most realistic touch I've ever seen in a while. So he was talking about like the actual like realistic physics of like him kind of struggling with his boots to get back up.
Anytime people watch Star Wars with that key of a focus or that laser focus type of attention and detail, I applaud them. I applaud you, IG Toy Store. This is coming from another person that usually takes an hour to get through 22 minutes of a Star Wars show due to pausing, note checking, and thinking about, is that something to discuss? Is that a reference? Is that an egg? But yeah, I mean, it really was. Obviously the technology is much more advanced than the early days of Clone Wars. You can even see that going through the Clone Wars itself. It goes from somewhat rocky to obviously Clone Wars Season 7 having the Rebels polish and now the Bad Batch polish to it. But yeah, good stuff. Very excited for Friday. Let's see what this common ground is all about. Let's see if we are going to get the Boba. But I do think common ground is either going to play out with Boba realizing that, he should team up with them, or Fennec coming in to just help fend off some additional bounty hunter grabs.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Nick, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, the last segment of the week, and that is the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the week, running 621 to 628. I'll do my little spiel like I always do, just in case we have new listeners, even though I think that is not the case, considering the numbers the past 2 weeks have been pretty shitty, as we like to say in our staff meetings. We're talking low numbers. I'm hoping it's a summer thing. We're out of pandemic lockdown for pretend thing here in America. But if numbers keep up the way we are, I think I have managed to piss off just enough people to not make doing the show worth it anymore. But anyways, the top 5, and this is how this thing comes to be. So every day of the week, I'm on our Instagram account at Star Wars Time Show, looking through all of the shots people have tagged us in and have used our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. So to get in on the fun, hashtag Star Wars Time Show, like my man Devin Doty just said in the chat. So any Star Wars content, at this point, I really don't give a shit. All Star Wars content, for the most part, is interesting to me. It doesn't mean it's going to get featured, all right? But tag at Star Wars Time Show and use hashtag Star Wars Time Show. So every morning as I wake up, I go through both of those sections on our account, and I look for Star Wars art of any kind, tattoos, cosplay, real-ass paint, toy photography, that moves my meter. I'm not saying gets me excited down below, but just something like, wow, that looks pretty fucking cool. If that's the case, I'll feature it. I do 12 features a day, 7 days a week. And then the magic happens Monday evening, and that's when Nick, the good man you can see here on the live stream, he goes through all of those 12 shots, 7 days. You do the math. It's got to be at least 5,000. And he picks the 5 best according to him. And that brings us to now, the top 5 of 621 to 628. So, Nick, who we got?
First up, it's from our good friend at super_scoundrel, Devin, in the chat, one of our moderators. And I almost got to buy this shirt now, huh? Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I think it's going to be impossible for me that anytime you share one of Devin's, Vice style portraits here, it's going to be impossible for me to not put it in the top 5. So what we see is the Lord of Hunger, Darth Nihilus, in Devin's signature Star Wars Vice style of art that I have kind of dubbed it in the last time we were watching. So you see Darth Nihilus beautifully rendered. And you see in the background kind of like this
what Nick's saying with
styles.
Vice, think Far Cry Blood Dragon, like
Far
that type
Cry
of
Blood
shit.
Dragon,
like just like 80s early 90s, like like flashy guitar synth music in your face type of stuff.
Yeah, GTA Vice City, like something like that, like those old 80s style of art back then, like very vibrant colors. And like even like the way that his name is written is just so fucking 80s. It's so cool. But it's just like, it's such a different, like taking these Star Wars characters and then dropping them into this style of art.
It shouldn't work. I'll tell you right now, it shouldn't work. I mean, you have Darth Nihilus. What is he, the Eater of Worlds or some shit like that?
Yeah, Lord of Hunger. Yeah, like he's got.
And he's in an image with palm trees, a sun. You got those like purple and pink neon light accents there. I mean, it's definitely very un-Sith like, but at the same time, it's very kick-ass, and it 100% works. And Nick, this is actually an edit. He Super Scoundrel did create just a standard Nihilus. I guess we could go check it out. Standard one kicks ass too. I mean, that definitely that's got the Eater of Worlds vibe to it, the Lord of Hunger. But when I saw him, as you say, throw on his Vice Pimp maneuver, I was like, yeah, that's the one to feature. That is the one to feature.
Apparently, you don't have the right screen up on the live.
Damn it,
Devin. Let us know.
Told you I'm an idiot. What do you guys expect? Oh well. So remember all the nice shit we just said and described, and now look at the screen. Okay,
now you can
we'll give you 10 seconds of silence to replay what we said about it. Now that you can actually see it, so go. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Recall everything. So
right. Does all the stuff we said make sense now?
Yeah, it's a fucking amazing piece of artwork here by Devin. I mean, I have the Mando Vice shirt. That was one of his first like Vice style 1980s Star Wars mix.
Yeah, let's go find it.
Like crossover style of
art
that he did.
I want you to buy, hey, Super Scoundrel, I want you to sell Nick a shirt with just your image on it that Justin took, SW Props. That's the shirt I want you to buy. The one I have up on the stream right now.
Weird. He would have to put that up on his shop and see how popular that is.
But no, yeah, I mean, kick ass. Let's see if we can find. Yeah, here's his. He's got the Mando Vice, as Nick calls it there. That one's kick ass. I think his original Vices were way back in 2020. Lots of quality content on @Super Scoundrel, my friends. There we go. Look at this. Look at the Transport Co-Pilot one. Now that's a fucking pimped out image and shirt, as Nick likes to buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, @Super Scoundrel, check out the store, www.storefrontier.com/Super Scoundrel. Check it.
Indeed. Give him the follow on the IG as well.
Yeah, but hey, last week, remember I brought up the Schwarzenegger thing. Here, told you.
Yeah, no,
I still think. I mean, hey, I love Devin's fucking Star Wars work. I mean, it's fantastic. Hey, look, my comment shows sweet Haywood Pop. See, I support our friends through my personal account. But yeah, he designed this thing for one of my favorite action hero actors of all time, the Schwarzenegger. Love it.
The Schwartz.
Love it. Devin, did you actually get to talk to him or just his team? I'll let you leave that in chat once you catch up, but I'm interested in learning about that. I think one of these days we're actually going to have Super Scoundrel on the show if we can figure it out. It's something like he can't do an interview during our regular time because he has to work or some shit like that. I don't know, but we're working on Devin.
Why do you have a fucking job?
Yeah, I mean, jobs are for idiots.
Come on.
I think we have something locked down with Plastic Action. He actually heard my call, which goes to show you he's an excellent individual. Heard my call, responded to the story. He's like, "Hey, I'm waiting." So I threw the producer after him, and I think we might get him. We might not get him for too long, but I do think we're going to get Plastic Action. Still working on the Scoundrel.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean the Plastic Action at this point, it's like he has gone above and beyond what toy photography was.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like
a different level of celebrity,
and that's all I want to talk about.
community.
Like, I mean, I don't give a shit about Star. I just want to talk to him and be like, Jax, what has your life been like these past 2.5 years with this hobby? I mean, it's crazy what he was blown up beforehand, but once ESPN caught wind of his Plastic Baller series, it's just like he's doing shit for Shaq now, like personal projects. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Anyways, back to Super Scoundrel.
Super Scoundrel.
Okay, he
Super
promised.
Scoundrel.
He gave us a great tease. He will explain it all, and that's the Schwarzenegger deal when he's a guest. So there we go. We're going to hold him to it. I want him on the show. We just got to figure out schedules.
Yeah.
But we will get the lowdown on how Devin is making art personally for the Schwarzenegger now.
The Governator. All
That's
right. Awesome. At super_scoundrel on Instagram. If you're not already following him, you should be. You should also buy his merchandise because it's really good shit. All right. Next up is at Visual Approach Photography. I mean, Visual Approach over the last, I would say, 3 months, it's almost like impossible to not put him in the top 5 when we get shares of his stuff.
And this is what the one you're sharing now is a recent one where I sometimes, especially with a guy like him, I'll read their full caption just to kind of get some insights into the setup and whatnot. And if you actually go look at this shot on at Visual_Approach_Photography's account and read it, I mean, it's mixed scale, so the at ST is actually 118. It's not a 112 scale at, but he actually, the way he blended it in the depth of field he used, I mean, the aperture setting makes it look proper size. But this shot right here, Nick, was his homage to everything and Sir Dork.
It was funny, dude,
because
when I
he
clicked
said,
on this image, I thought it was Jesse.
Yeah, no, he said in the caption, like I said on his account, that Sir Dork and everything were his inspiration.
No, yeah, dude,
and he wanted to honor it in this shot, and clearly he learns well, right? I mean, unlike Anakin, he took the lessons from his masters and has applied them well. I mean, shit, let's just look at his latest one using crackling balls outside, because I fucking love this Vader shot. Nick, I'm on his account right now.
This one is nuts.
That's as boss Vader as you get. I mean, it looks like Vader is shitting out an explosion. But it works, because it's like Vader just coming out after he fucked something or someone up. And here's how you know Sean is dedicated to the craft. That Vader is fucked up at this point in time. Like, if you look at the behind the scenes, and I've done this to figures too, when you light crackling balls that close to a figure, they get fucked up. So
they're essentially destroyed.
It actually looks like Sean's in the chat right now. So is this hyper real Vader dead or alive at this point in time? He's saying yes, very melted. But hey, it paid off, because that is a spectacular looking Vader shot using all practical effects. Because I know sometimes Visual Approach Photography, he's gotten good at the post processing, bringing stuff in through Photoshop, but someone like me that likes the whole outdoor stuff and trying to do everything in frame, I love work like this. And you definitely can see the Sir Dork and everything Kylo influence here.
100%. You can see those influences in there, and that's amazing. But this shot, so we talked about the Vader shot, but this shot is it looks like a Bad Batcher running away from the ATST in the background, shooting the lasers at him and exploding around his running body. So, I mean, amazing shot. So at Visual_Approach_Photography on the Instagram, give him a follow. I mean, it's his stuff, like Matt said, is everything he puts out is just top tier.
I'll tell you what,
quality.
watching this behind the scenes and seeing this, I have almost the same setup outside. Just a table that I've blown the fuck up. I throw random dirt on it. It's like, I need to get back outside and shoot a firework shot.
Hey man, it's getting around that time too. I mean, it's almost.
What do you mean getting around
summertime.
that time, Nick? I've blown away. I've blown off the first month of summer already. You know as well as I do. Once we pass July 4th, summer is over.
Yeah, I mean,
take it to the bank. Anyone
sure.
like not even for teachers, for humans in general. July 4th is the end of summer. Think about it. Think about it. When you wake up next Monday, or you probably have Monday off or Tuesday, think about it. Your summer's over. Because most of you only have like a couple more weeks before kids are back in school, the weather's nice. July 4th, and again, you got to remember, I'm a glass half empty type of cocksucker. Pessimism is the key to my life. But July 4th, I shit you not, once it hits, your summer will be over. Things just start to, they hit like a hyper speed pace after July 4th. Before you know it, you're going to be back bitching if you live in the north about the weather, but you may be excited because football's coming back. I tell you what, getting old is so fun. But yeah, at visual_approach_one more time photography. Got to give them a follow. Fantastic stuff, and usually details the process. So if you're trying to learn from the best, this is a great account to take note of.
Definitely.
Next.
All right. Next up. This is one of the shots on our account that recently crossed 1,000 likes. This is from @LifeOfGuile. And what we see is another tribute to the Bad Batch.
Yeah, another hunter shot.
Yeah, this is another hunter shot with his knife drawn, and he's like, this seems like as much like a Rambo shot as any of the hunter shots we've ever seen. But like he's like in the water, almost like he's wading through the swamp, knife drawn, ready to fucking just pounce on somebody and kill him. I mean, it is a true like down in the dirt kind of shot from Life of Guile.
Yeah, and Life of Guile, this is kind of their MO. Very like natural, again, all outdoor, natural light. With it looks like in this case it's either canned air being held upside down to stir up the smoke and the water, or atmosphere aerosol or some type of aerosol being sprayed into the water to kind of kick up the water and hopefully get some water particles, but also to create the fog / smoke. But yeah, Life of Guile, it's no bullshit. I mean, we'll go look at the full account.
It's amazing to me that he only has 2,500 followers with the quality of work that he puts out.
Well,
like, this shit is just
because
wow.
I'm kind of psychotic with this stuff, and I look at it 7 days a week for at least an hour a day. I can tell you, Life took a break for a few months, and like I said last week, these days in particular on IG, if you stop posting on a regular basis, IG essentially suspends your account. Like it's dead. It's so
it also
dead.
Looks like he had like a shift of focus. He was doing a little Lego. Now he's back on the, I mean,
it should get so dead if you stop posting on a regular basis that bots begin to leave your account. That's how fucking bad IG makes your account if you don't post regularly these days. But yeah, I mean, this one right here, the only reason I didn't feature this one is because I just featured one. You got to spread around the love sometimes. This one with the two stormtroopers, again, with nice aerosol effect in the background, some good posing there.
I mean, that shit is just, heart-wrenching to look at.
I love it all. I mean, clearly, I'd argue, while I don't shoot as much, I look at more toy photography than any toy photographer in the world. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Every day, 7 days a week, I'm looking at nothing but toy photography for up to an hour. So it's good shit. It's good shit. It's, I still like it. I still like the hobby, if you will. I just haven't been able to get to it myself. But it's starting to burn a hole on my trigger finger, if you know what I mean. I'm motivated to shoot. It's just in my current setup, with the fact that my father's too big of a pussy to confront me again, I have no one to watch my kids. So it's me trying to squeeze in some of my professional work while also trying to make sure my kid doesn't kill herself throughout the day, which leaves me with no time for toy photography. And you're right. I mean, I am missing, for where I live in Columbfuck, Ohio, I am missing prime time outdoor shooting right now because the perfect sun starts to show up around 4:35. It lasts almost to 8 o'clock. I can get some really good dusky looking shots, which completely can change a scene. But no, I'm typically inside watching Pickles and Peanut or playing Barbie or just being a good fucking parent, right? It's not so bad to put focus on your kids. So I'm not bitching about that, but I'm getting a toy build up again. I have 3 Hot Toys I want to shoot. I got some Black Series I want to shoot. Plus I have all of 2020 still sitting in a fucking plastic drawer that needs shot. I'll get there. Hopefully I'll get there. If anything, my kid's in kindergarten this year, so I'll be moving on to that phase of my life, and I should get some of my free time back, as we like to call it in the parent verse. But Life of Guile, and that's Gial, all one word, no underscores.
No underscores on
I'm only
IG.
saying that because Sean in the chat actually, kind of called me. He's like, "You love those underscores." I was like, "I sure don't." All right. Any more?
Next
you got any
up,
more for me, Nick? Sure do.
Any more? Yes, we have more. We have 2 more, and the first one.
The master himself. Look at this.
Yes, at Sir Dork 730. Like you said, with his patented hero explosion shot. Cool guys never look at explosions, and these are some cool motherfuckers right here, right, Matt?
Yes. It is. I mean, it's the named clones. You got Rex, Cody, and Wolf. And it almost is. It's like they're, someone got them together. It's like, hey guys, let's send this one to the generals and show them what we did. GK and Skywalker, they'll love this shit. And they're like, all right, hey Cody, you fucking light the bomb. Rex, you stand here. You get the hero pose. Wolf, you just look back there like you're flexing like a swole motherfucker. And they're like, and Echo's the one on the camera. They're like, all right, Cody, light the bomb, go. And Rex is like, all right, I got the pose. Echo, shoot. So I love it.
I fucking love it because like some of them, like some shots, they seem like, it's a little bit more natural. It's like they're walking away from something like an explosion of like a tank or something like that. This is literally like Jared set it up like just like you fucking narrated. Like they were posing this on purpose.
We're so fucking badass. We're gonna blow shit up right behind us and pose in front of it. Because even Cody's looking like what? Like he's looking like what? He's like, yeah, Rex, you hit that fucking pose, pimp. Yeah, that's looking good, Cap. That's looking good. And Wolf's back there like, yo, I kind of want to get in frame. He's, puffing out his chest a little bit. He's like, what? I'm Wolf. What? Get me in this. What?
I fucking love it, man. I love it. Like this, Jared, I don't know if you're going to put this up as a print on your store. Because like I said, last time, like my last print that I bought from you got fucking rained on because the UPS person did not put it underneath my patio.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that story.
Put this
the rainy dork
on your
print.
store. I don't know if it's there already. Put this one up on your store so I can buy it in print form because I want to. I just hung up I have my Phase Runner print over there on the wall. I have my Saviard print right here on the wall. I need to get this one to hang this one on my wall as well because this is some fucking incredible. Yeah. Awesome
Jared,
right
this
here.
is the Christmas card this year, I think, or at least one of the images that goes on the Christmas card. Because it's just like
I need this.
Rex is just looking at us like, what the fuck are you gonna do? I'm Captain fucking Rex, right? He's like, I am Captain fucking Rex.
It's too badass. I need this. I need this in print form. So Jared, when it's up, let me know.
I'm starting to think Cody is almost like he's got a look of jealousy, almost like how come Rex always gets to be in the fucking front doing the hero pose? I'm a fucking commander. He's just a captain. What the fuck? It's like
oh man, it's too perfect. I love it.
Hey Jared, how many layers is this shot, or is that just one cohesive blast? I don't think it is. How many photos make up the blast? If you can let us know in the chat. All right, there you go. He's printing one just for Nick. Look, he's taking orders live right now. What a gentleman and a scholar. I think Nick, if Jared does another one of his like vacation trips, I'm going to buy a package for Nick. I want Nick to go with Jared on a toy photography safari.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'll be there like,
You can
what?
be the
What's an
blowtorch holder.
aperture? What is
Yeah. Nick's like Nick
phone.
just busts out his new Samsung and he's like, what, like this? Should I hold it like that? Like this?
Oh man.
Good times.
Good shit. Good shit.
Yeah, no, I mean,
the
the dork will always be a special friend of the show. I mean, he one of our, I think our first interview. No,
first ever interview.
Dom was our first interview, not Vin Diesel.
Community.
Yeah, Gecko Dom. But I believe Jared was our first toy photography interview, and then he actually was a co-host, our first ever guest co-host.
I was gonna say he was the only. I think he's the only ever like sit-in co-host.
Right, he did it twice. And the only reason he didn't hear it the second time is because he fucking forgot to record his stem. So, but we don't talk about that anymore. All right.
Yes, he says 15 plus layers.
There we go. Okay, I thought so.
There we go.
He layers in those. That just think about that. 15 layers potentially means 15 separate explosions to get this shot going. So, dude does not use his fireworks sparingly. All right, he takes advantage of the Phantom fireworks buy one get 10 free sales.
Yeah. All right. So, go give @SirDork730 a follow on Instagram if you don't already. Click the tap link on his About Us, and that will take you right to all of the places where you can follow him outside of Instagram, and it will also take you to his shop as well, where you can.
Yeah,
get
I think he's got a new base of
stuff.
Operations. It looks like I don't know if he bought a house or is renting a house now, but again, because I'm fond of the dork, I'll check out his content, his stories, watch the videos. But it looks like he moved to a house now, and he's already marking out explosion areas around the house where he can like fuck shit up and dump some TNT on his property and light his fingers on fire. You gotta let your neighbors
know, like, beware of explosions.
I'm sorry everyone, but today between 5 and 10 p.m. I will be lighting off some dynamite. So well, why are you doing that, Jared? I'm just taking some pictures of my toys. And be like, what the fuck?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's gonna have like the home association coming after him. Like, hey, let's. What the fuck's this guy doing?
What are you doing, man? You can't be doing this shit over here. All right. Thank you, Sir Dork, as always, for the love, and we show love to
whenever
you
I hear his name or just think about him, I go back to the movie The Crow, and there's a scene where the goons just go, fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. That is Sir Dork in a nutshell, at least to me.
That's the mantra.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, who's our last victim here?
5. It is Johnny 1300 on Instagram. And like, while a lot of our other shots here have been like action shots, close-up shots and stuff like this, I really like the scene.
It's awesome.
That Johnny built here. And what we see is Farm Boy Luke. This is, something that could have happened during the episode 4 timeline, New Hope. He is standing there having a conversation with C-3PO, and you see R2-D2 right by them as well. And it looks like they're standing somewhere near the cantina in Mos Eisley.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue, Nick, this is an off-screen moment where Luke was kind of talking with the droids about how much to sell the speeder for, right?
The speeder for, yeah, because you can see the speeder right there in the background, right behind Luke. And I just thought that this was a really well, like you said, really well staged.
It's awesome.
It's just perfect. It feels so natural, like something you would see in the movie. It looks
like a movie still. And again, I've talked about there are different types of toy photography. There's the ones that can elicit emotion, like just through a portrait. You have the intense action shots, like we just looked at from @SirDork and that visual approach. You have scene recreations, and then you just have like, I think Trevor called them like just still shots, like still life shots. And that's kind of what we have here. I mean, there's really nothing crazy going on. It truly is just like an alleyway in Mos Eisley. But it feels alive. It feels like these aren't toys. These are actual characters. We're just we kind of have a bird's eye, not a bird's eye view, but we have a special glimpse of this moment in time. A very casual moment. Just shooting the shit, maybe talking about how much to sell the speeder for. But because of the staging, you got the Jawas kind of right there, right where the camera lens is probably at. You got droids there. Plus, he's got the depth added with some troopers behind the main focal points. You got that pilot walking out of view, but all of it adds to the realness, for a lack of a better word, of the scene. It feels alive. It doesn't feel like toys in a diorama.
Definitely. And that's like, it just stands out, you know, like you look at that and like at first I looked at it, I was like, I was like reeling through Star Wars in my head. I was like, was this a scene recreation? And I realized it wasn't. I was like, wow, this is just like something that came from Johnny's head and he just fucking brought it to life.
Yeah, laid it out,
camera.
built it all out. I mean, it looks like everything's practical in there. All the sets, all the, you know, the moisture evaporator. And it's a shot and you're like, you know, there's not much going on, but there's a ton going on just because of how it's staged.
Exactly. And I mean, perfect use of atmosphere. He like hit the, like it's not overlit. It's not like, you know, the perfect amount of lighting. I mean, it feels so real and in universe that it like draws you into it. It like, you like ask questions.
Right. Like what are they actually, is Luke about to pimp slap C-3PO because he said something stupid? Or is he going like, no, is that a fair price? Or should we do this? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he said his original caption was, let's go 3PO. Those troopers are making me nervous. So like they're looking over, you know, he's like looking over his shoulder, the troopers behind him and stuff. I mean, it's just such a really just well staged, you know, lit, atmospherically lighting. Everything about it is just so good that it draws you into it and makes you feel like this was a part of the movie. So I mean,
I'm on
fantastic
I'm on at Johnny 1300's main page right now just to give everyone a better understanding of what he produces. It's a good mix of the 1/6 scale portrait shots and then more scene based 1/12 scale.
He's got a killer Cad Bane one from May 14th, actually, where he's like, Cad Bane's just fucking laid out an entire room of stormtroopers.
Yep.
I mean, just some fantastic work here on Johnny 1300. I mean, hopefully we can turn him into Johnny 1400 and 1500 because right now his number of followers is the same as the number in his name.
I like it. Well, maybe he does that by design. Who knows? Hey,
yeah, maybe
Johnny is actually in the live stream. Thank you for checking in. Sometimes we don't know if anyone gives a rat's ass what we think, but we do appreciate you dipping into the live stream. Hopefully you liked what you listened to. I'm not sure if you listened to all the nonsense or just a fan segment, but if you liked it, consider subbing to the channel. We'd appreciate it. Or the podcast on any podcast platform. Ratings and reviews are bonus. But yeah, Johnny 1300, definitely a good follow. Different mix of figures. I like this one here where you got the 1/6 scale Grogu playing with the little Micro Machine Star Wars figures. And it's like he's holding it up to Din going, look, Dad, I got this toy. So good stuff from at Johnny 1300.
Great stuff, man. Love it. All right. That is the end of the top 5 fan segment and the show. So, Matt, take us home.
I'll try to, Nick, and I fucked our goal. I know I said I wanted us to be under 3 hours, but hey, shit happens. You never know how long this thing will be when our two dumbasses get behind the mic and the cameras to talk Star Wars. But I feel like it was a productive conversation, so much so that we need more of you or more of people like the rest of you to fall in line. Let's go. Let's get the party started. Like someone was in here saying, welcome to the party. Exactly. If this is your first time, welcome. Hopefully you'll stick around. If you need to know how to stick around, I'm here to tell you. StarWarsTime.net. It's the easiest place to keep tabs on the Star Wars Time Show in between our live streams, which usually kick off on Tuesdays anywhere between 2 and 3 p.m. East. Will we ever commit to an actual time like Big Boys and Big Girl podcast? Probably not, because we're slackers. But this week, I vow not to compare our show to an STD like I did last week, all right? Even though I would love to infect some of you like an STD. That way you have to keep scratching us and coming back for more. We could be the medicine to your disease, I guess. We'll put it that way. But hey, come on. I guess a good way to get me to stop talking about myself and acting like a narcissistic Star Wars blowhard would be to have the numbers come, right? I mean, that's all I'm looking for. I will stop tooting my own horn when I realize other people are tooting it for me through views. How's that? Because I'm not an idiot. Let's be real. A lot of us are content creators that listen to this show. If you continually create content and people tell you it's good content, yet it doesn't grow in terms of the people that watch it, is it really good content? That is a question I wake up with every day and ask myself. So either, people just like blowing smoke up our asses, Nick, or somehow, 10, 12 years into making content, I've managed to stay hidden from the masses of Star Wars fans that apparently would appreciate my content. Because like I even said today, a guy's like, hey man, this is some good stuff, but you talk about yourself too much, and I'm doing it right now, so I'm falling right back into that rut. So I'll shut the fuck up and remind you, StarWarsTime.net. That's where, anytime any of the content we're going to talk about on the weekly show, you can find it on the site beforehand, so you're prepared for the discussions. You can also find all of our jump-off links to the podcast. Just go to subscribe to podcast. You can find the links to Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, TuneIn. You do it, and we will love you for it. If you do make the decision to follow along this journey, all we ask instead of cashola is to, if you're a YouTuber, like our videos, comment on our videos, and subscribe to the channel with notifications. At least with notifications, you'll know when our two lazy asses go live promptly, instead of just trying to guess in between which minutes between the hours of 2 and 3 will actually turn on the cameras. So StarWarsTime.net, you can find all the podcast platforms, and you can find the YouTube subscribe button. But if you're on there, or if you've been on there, ratings and reviews, if you have not done so already, think of it as a reach around for us. All right? All we're asking for is a simple reach around every once in a while. We're not asking for anything crazy like playing tummy sticks, okay? And besides, we know it. Nick knows it. My daughter used to know it. But there's always time for Star Wars time. There truly is. There's never a bad day for Star Wars time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, this is another bonus. The Force will be with you always.